Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's coverage of the United Rentals 200 at the Phoenix Raceway for this weekend's running of the NASCAR Xfinity Series race. As we are getting set for action here in a matter of moments. We don't usually have pre-race coverages for these Xfinity Series live streams, so we are not that far away from the drop of the green flag today, as we have roughly 5 minutes or less until they actually go racing. They have just given the command to start engines, already through all the pre-race ceremonies, and now it's just about ready to get into this race. So appreciate everybody coming in here on this Saturday afternoon. This is the fourth race of the NASCAR Xfinity Series season. It is the third and final race of the West Coast Swing at the start of the year before they head back east, where they will be racing at the Atlanta Motor Speedway next weekend. All three series, in fact, will be at Atlanta on the newly repaved, revamped Super Speedway. As far as today's race goes, though, we'll go through today's starting lineup before we get things kicked off. Cole Custer qualified on the pole earlier this afternoon. He will be starting out in front for the first time this season. Justin Allgaier, for the second straight race, has qualified on the front row. He'll be starting second in row number one. Daniel Hemrick and John Hunter Nemechek will line up in row number two. Nemechek with a win this year already in the second race at Auto Club. Sheldon Creed and Chandler Smith will be in row three. Smith looking for redemption after leading over 100 laps last week but failed to get the win. Josh Berry and Austin Hill will line up in row four. Hill already with 2 wins this season, winning the season opener at Daytona and last week's race on a pass coming to the white flag at Las Vegas. Row number 5 today will be Ryan Sieg and Riley Hurst. Sammy Smith and Ryan Truex will be in row 6. Truex fastest in practice earlier today. Kaz Gralla and Sam Mayer will line up in row 7. Parker Retzlaff, Jeff Burton will be in row 8. Brett Moffitt and Kyle Weatherman in row 9. Ryan Ellis, Josh Williams will round out the top 20 in row number 10. Brandon Jones starting deep in the field once again will be on the inside of row 11. Kyle Sieg to his outside. Leland Honeyman making his first start in the NASCAR Xfinity Series today on the inside of row number 12, with Joe Graff Jr. to his outside. Anthony Alfredo, Greg Golding will line up in row 13. Jeremy Clements starting deep in the field once again on the inside of row 14. Brennan Poole to his outside. Dawson Cram and Garrett Smithley will line up in row 15. Jeffrey Earnhardt, Bailey Curry in row 16. Row number 17 will be Joey Gase and Patrick Emmerling. Blaine Perkins and Connor Mosack will be in row number 18 today, and then Parker Kligerman and Kyle Busch will round out the field in row number 19. Kyle Busch did not qualify. They had to make some changes to that race car after practice. They were having an issue getting fuel to the engine, so I think they ended up having to, I'm assuming they ended up changing a fuel ignition on the race car, either that or fuel pump, whatever they ended up fixing there. That is why they are starting at the rear of the field, because they did not qualify. Trying to make sure they got that fixed and ready to go for today's race. He'll be driving the 10 car for Colleague Racing for the second consecutive week. And Parker Kligerman crashed in qualifying earlier today. Crashed in turns 1 and 2. I don't know if he overcooked the corner and just hit the wall. He said over the radio after the impact that he had the pedal to the floor. I don't know if that was necessarily the brake pedal. If I had to guess, it probably was. That means he probably had no brakes going into the first turn and slammed the outside wall, whatever the case there. Tough break for Kligerman. He'll be in a backup car for the start of today's race. Ice Demon King 92 Hammer, Adrian K, Philip Moore, Caden Spears, Regine Huddleston, Earl Arnold Jr., Billy Kramer, NASCAR Cup Series 2311 Racing, Patty and Rumdy Creations, and others. Welcome into the stream. We've got over 30 people watching already, so appreciate everybody tuning in. Race is on Fox Sports 1 for anybody wondering. And be sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more daily NASCAR content as well, as we're about to get things kicked off today. Kyle Busch was second fastest in practice earlier today as well. A lot warmer temps out west this weekend compared to the last couple weeks and the last couple racetracks. We've been at 78 degrees as the temperature today. Track temp at 93 degrees despite the fact that it is overcast skies for today's race. No rain in the forecast. I have some dry conditions out in the desert once again. Custer, the only Ford to qualify inside the first 4 rows. But again, on the pole, was very fast in practice as well. Fox Booth, gonna dial up Justin Allgaier. You guys will get to listen in.
Up front, you look really good here. Obviously starting up front again. What's it gonna take to get your third win here?
To be honest with you, Joey, I don't feel like I've ever really been that great of a qualifier here, but I think with this rules package and the grip level that we saw this morning, being a little bit of a veteran here probably helped me in knowing what to do. But we gotta make the most of it in the race. These races are short, but they'll fall off on tires is a big deal, making sure that you put yourself in good position all day. So got a great team. Our Hello Water Camaro was really, really good all day in practice, and we don't know what to expect with this package to race, but I feel really confident that we got the team around us, the pit crew, spotter, everybody to do what we need to do. So we're gonna go have fun. We're gonna put on a great show with the fans back at home and that are watching, and the fans that are here. We're gonna enjoy Old Phoenix Raceway because this place is a lot of fun.
Copy that, man. I'm sure you'll have some fun and keep some air on the nose. See ya.
Hey, if he goes top 3 today, he would join my man Kevin Harvick as one of only 4 drivers to start the season with 4 consecutive top 3 finishes. How about that? You think about that while we go to pit road. Let's check in with our reporters. We start things off with Regan Smith.
Well, Adam, good afternoon. You alluded to Kyle Busch having issues in practice earlier today with the fuel system. That, of course, means they will have to go to the rear. I checked in with Kyle. He said he felt like the race car was very good. Shouldn't have a problem making his way forward in that. But keep an eye on that car for other reasons. Colin Racing, who has struggled at the Phoenix racetrack, is looking to Kyle to help them get that figured out. Of course, this is the championship race later this year. If one of their other 2 cars is to win the championship, they're going to have to rely on Kyle to get that setup dialed in and help them out just a little bit for later this season. Josh Sims?
Well, Ricky, speaking of one of those other 2 cars, let's talk about Chandler Smith with a 16, who may be a rookie, but he looks far from it. Top 5 in the last 2 races at Vegas. He led the most laps and lost the lead with 2 laps to go. Nearly won the thing. When I asked him what he learned, he said, man, I learned we got fast enough cars to win. Well, speaking of speed, he was top 3 in practice, qualified 6, and this is a guy that won here in ARCA, he won here in the truck, and now he's looking to add an Xfinity victory here at Phoenix to his resume, guys.
He has shown a lot of speed in his rookie campaign, no doubt about that. So you've heard from the guys in the booth. We checked in with our pit reporters. Now let's go to the spotter stand. I think your guy's up there, Joey.
Yeah, absolutely. Coleman Presley, the spotter of the Double Deuce. He's got I think the best view of the house, maybe with some challenges as well. He's braving the elements. Coleman, what do you see up there?
Hey Joey, excited to be here today. Phoenix International Raceway is known as one of the most difficult spotter stands in the series. We're located over here in turns 3 and 4. It's a long ways over to turns 1 and 2. Very difficult for the spotters to see how these restarts funnel out going into turn 1, and then as the cars come back at you off of turn 2, they're coming straight at you. Once they get it's right below us. Got a great view of the downshafts, watching how the resin coming in, watching as the restart zone takes place. It's going to be a lot of good stuff coming at you guys.
Hey Coleman, is there any way that you could be a little more still when you have that camera, when they have that camera on? We don't want to see a bunch of shaking, so just keep your hips steady if you could.
I got you.
Hey, it's better he's up there today than last week if we wanted a steady cam, because it was windy. Oh man, Las Vegas. This is an awesome feature. All day long, Kaz Gralla, who's got our Toyota onboard camera, is going to have that heart rate monitor on. Right now, it's not going crazy, but a baseline of 60, up over 100. When we get to green flag, that thing's really gonna pop.
I can't wait to watch this. This is something that I love to keep track of, and a lot of the heart rate depends on the ambient temperature and how hot it gets inside the car. So it won't get as high today as it probably will in the middle of the summer, but I promise you it's going to shoot up on these restarts and as the run goes on. And when you look at that heart rate, it's really difficult to explain to people how high the heart rate stays throughout the race and how many calories you burn. So it's going to be fun to follow.
I wore a heart rate monitor last week, and I averaged 180 beats.
Oh, he's got it all.
The whole race.
So 180.
Oh yeah, man, I'm kicking in there, ready to go. Lots of adrenaline for me. I gotta try really hard to go fast, Kevin.
Hey, so we have the Toyota on board. This is the Ford onboard camera. Our driver's eye, Riley Herbst's going to take us through the paces today. Qualified in position and looking for his personal best 7th consecutive top 10 finish dating to last year. Here's the race analysis, too.
They will be going green this time by pace cars entering pit road off the exit of turn 2 currently. 200 laps, 200 miles scheduled distance for today's race. 110 laps in the final stage. First 2 stages will each be 45 laps. 3 drivers in the rear of the field. Already mentioned Kyle Busch, Parker Kligerman starting at the back. Kligerman crashed in qualifying. He's in a backup car. Kyle Busch had the fuel injector change, so he did not qualify. And then Jeffrey Earnhardt dropped into the rear of the field after unmodified adjustments following today's qualifying session. Cole Custer elects the inside lane for the start. Green flag is in the air. We're racing for the 4th race of the year for the Xfinity Series at Phoenix. Custer going down to already make a block onto the apron on the 11 car of Daniel Hemrick. Meanwhile, Justin Allgaier did not take off well in that outside lane off the start. Already gets passed by both the 2 of Sheldon Creed and the 11 of Daniel Hemrick. Custer's clear off turn 2 with the race lead. John Hunter Nemechek to the inside of the 7 as well, as Allgaier is now fighting for 4th place on the outside in turns 3 and 4. No grip up there for him. A bunch of cars sliding around the middle of the corner. John Hunter Nemechek and Sheldon Creed losing a little bit of rear wheel grip in the center of the corner. The 7 was able to play a little bit of defense and hold on to that 4th place position on Nemechek. Sheldon Creed now under pressure from behind as Allgaier's trying to get those spots back he lost in the opening lap. Can't quite get to the inside of Sheldon Creed for 3rd that time. He'll stay in line behind him heading into 3 and 4. About half a car length difference. Kyle Busch already going 3 wide at the tail end of the pack, trying to pass as many cars as he can, getting by Jeffrey Earnhardt that time, as well as Garrett Smithley. All the way down to the apron goes Busch. One car smoking towards the very tail end of the field. That'd be the 91 car. Had a donut on the left side of his driver's side door already. Daniel Hemrick now under duress from Sheldon Creed. Justin Allgaier already an 0.8 of a second lead at the front of the field for Custer over Hemrick off the exit of turn 4, lap 4. Creed going to the apron to dive bomb underneath Hemrick. He'll be clear into turns 1 and 2, now looking to slide up the racetrack. Make sure he's going to hold the 11 car clear. Hemrick gets back to the throttle sooner, but still can't get to the outside. Creed's up to 2nd. And a 1.1 second lead for Custer already on lap 5. A lot of cars down on that yellow line through turns 3 and 4. Very few drivers trying to run the outside lane. Still waiting to see if that lane gets rubbered in throughout the course of the day. May see the line move up over the course of this race. Track temp's really not going to fall too much. Local time, it was only 1:30 at the, or actually 2:30 at the start of the race today. So this entire race will be in daylight versus in the fall race for the Xfinity Series at Phoenix for the championship. Usually starts in the daytime, ends in the night. That will not be the case here. Justin Allgaier still going down to the apron, trying to make some passes on the front stretch through the dog leg. This time he gets by the 3rd place car of Daniel Hemrick in the number 11. Kyle Busch already up 13 spots in 6 laps from the start of the race as he is just outside the top 20. Currently in the 24th position, battling Anthony Alfredo for 23rd. Custer's still running the fastest lap times on the racetrack in the early going. 28.231 was his fastest lap on lap 2. Already about 0.2 of a second off of that lap time on his last lap. He ran on lap 7 of a 28.415. Top 5 pretty much all still the same from where they qualified. Positions have changed rotationally in these opening laps following the initial start. Now the first couple laps into this race. Still green right now. Field will have to work through lap traffic at some point in time in this stage, with this being just a 1 mile racetrack. Even with the first 45 lap speed in stage 1, it will fly by, but some drivers at the tail end of the field right now trying not to make too many mistakes that could cost them in going a lap down a lot earlier in the run. 3 wide on the racetrack in a battle for position down into turn 1 after Josh Berry went to the apron through the dog leg, while the 18 and the 16 of Chandler Smith and Sammy Smith were battling to his outside. Now they'll split him, and the 8's in the middle, 3 wide. What a crossover move by Sammy Smith and the 18. As he gets back alongside Josh Berry, Chandler Smith will clear. This is a 3-car battle for 6th place on the racetrack. Chandler Smith wins the battle for now, and Sammy Smith gets right back around Berry, clearing him off turn 4. And Berry does not go back down to the apron through the dog leg this time. Will stay in line behind Sammy Smith as he's got pressure from behind now from Riley Herbst. catching these three cars after they had battled pretty heavily the last lap and a half. Kyle Busch now to 21st. Make that 20th as he gets by Kyle Sieg. So already after starting dead last is up to 19th. Gets by Parker Retzlaff as well. It's like every 5 to 10 seconds it feels like he's passing a car. Custer has a 2-second lead over Sheldon Creed. Creed off to a pretty rough start this season as far as his finishing results go through the first few races. Trying to play catch-up, have a clean day today, get a good finish, get some points. Trying to make the playoffs after missing it a season ago. And with his teammate Austin Hill already getting 2 wins, you know this team, as an organization, RCR and the Xfinity and the Cup side for that matter, have speed on a week-to-week basis. Sheldon Creed's just got to bring it home and get some good finishes, and he'll start to climb back into this hole eventually. Justin Allgaier is battling him for second place on the racetrack right now. They're side by side through turns 1 and 2. Allgaier went to the bottom, couldn't make the pass. Creed holds a pretty good line on the outside, and he'll stay clear down into 3 and 4, where Allgaier will try a little bit wider entrance into the corner, arcing it off, gets a better run off the exit, and gets to the inside of Creed, going down to the apron slightly after getting crowded by the 2 car. And now sails it off into turns 1 and 2, looking for a slide job to move himself into second, and he will be able to clear and take that position away. First commercial break of the day for Fox. We will stay right here. We'll go through the full field running order as we are on lap 13 of 200 total in today's race and 13 of 45. In stage 1, Cole Custer has a 2.4 second lead over Justin Allgaier in second place. Sheldon Creed is in third. John Hunter Nemechek fourth. Sammy Smith in fifth. Daniel Hemrick has dropped to 6th place. Chandler Smith in 7th. Riley Herbst 8th. Josh Berry 9th. And Ryan Truex has cracked the top 10 now in 10th place. Austin Hill's fallen back to 11th. Sam Mayer 12th. Ryan Sieg 13th. Brett Moffitt 14th. Brandon Jones up to 15th. Kaz Grala 16th. Kyle Busch already up 21 spots to 17th. Jeb Burton 18th. Josh Williams in 19th. And then Parker Retzlaff in 20th. 21st is Kyle Sieg. Ryan Ellis 22nd. Anthony Alfredo 23rd. Leland Honeyman in 24th, Jeremy Clements 25th, Kyle Weatherman 26th, Joe Graff Jr. 27th, Brendan Poole 28th, Bailey Curry 29th, and Parker Kligerman is in 30th. Greg Golding in 31st, Joey Gase 32nd, Connor Mosack in 33rd. 34th place is Jeffrey Earnhardt, Blaine Perkins in 35th, Garrett Smithley 36th, Patrick Emerling 37th, and Dawson Cram is a lap down already in 38th. Appreciate everybody tuning in here today. Terry Lewis, welcome into the stream also. I put a poll up right before the start of the race for who you guys think is going to win today's race. I didn't ask in the community tab earlier, so I apologize for that. But during the stream right now, we got 59% of the votes currently saying Kyle Busch is going to win this race. We will close this poll, by the way, at the end of Stage 2. 32 votes have been casted so far through the first 11 minutes of the race. Justin Allgaier has 16% of the votes. Cole Custer, who leads this race to start after qualifying on the pole, only 3% of the votes, and 22% say other right now. So that's where we're looking at for that. Terry Williams, welcome into the stream also. Patrick Shadley, welcome. He's pulling for his man Kyle Busch. I have money on Kyle Busch winning today too. I put money on him yesterday, which probably wasn't a great idea. I should have waited till after practice to qualify. He was fast in practice. I think the changes they made to the race car shouldn't affect the speed too much. The only guy who was really competitive with him seemed to be Ryan Truex speed-wise in the long run, as well as Cole Custer. And Custer obviously leading in the early going. Just have to wait and see how fast Busch is in comparison to him once Kyle Busch can get some track position. He's already up to 16th place in just the first 18 laps. He has already passed 22 race cars. Has to be burning those tires up, though. He's 9.9 seconds off the lead still. And Justin Allgaier, that last lap was almost 0.2 quicker than Cole Custer. So he's cut that lead down to 2.3 seconds. Allgaier has finished in the top 3 in the first 3 races of the season. You mentioned there, or I should say the Fox booth mentioned on the pre-race that nobody has finished in the top 3 in 4 straight races to start Xfinity season since Kevin Harvick, and if I'm not mistaken, that was back in 2006. So it has been a long time, and Allgaier trying to join some elite company, still searching for his first win. This is a track he has come very close to winning the championship at in the last few years. But it's been very good in the spring race here in the past in the Xfinity Series and looking strong in the early going of today's races again as well. Be sure to hit the like button, subscribe for more daily NASCAR content if you guys have not already. First of 2 races this weekend on the live commentary set. Tomorrow's Cup race will start at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Hemrick 7th right now. Regan, what's up there?
Well, Enemy slid back a little bit since the start of the race. Right now, that car started very tight, and now it's going free, meaning the back of it wants to slide. But keep an eye on him as this race plays out. That team has highlighted some issues from the previous 2 races to where their car has been good for stages 1 and 2. When they get to the 3rd stage, they've lost the handle on it. They want to do a better job today of keeping up with the racetrack and keeping up with the handle on that car. Josh?
This is an update on Josh Berry in the 8th car. Started off 7th. Hasn't really been able to make up much ground so far. So the back end of that car is just scary loose. So we need some rear security to help him out. But the team reassuring him on the radio, just keep doing what you're doing. We'll take care of you.
Yeah, and here's a driver that's managing a lot, right? I mean, he found out last Friday he's going to be filling in for Chase Elliott, drove the 9 car at Las Vegas, his 3rd Cup start, double duty this weekend. So running back and forth between the 2 garages, 2 totally different race cars. That's a big adjustment for a driver that doesn't have tons of experience. Middle point, stage 1. What are your observations from the spotter deck, Coleman?
Yeah, Adam, looking at the resin coming in turns 1 and 2, Sheldon Creed was one of the first guys to move up to it somewhere around lap 7. Take a look at what he's doing now as he's trying to work Justin Allgaier. Not only is he looking for clean air, he's entering with his right sides up against the resin. He's able to maintain across the center of the corner. As soon as he gets to the 2/3 of the corner where he is now, he's doing this big turn down. Watch how big that run carries all the way down the back straightaway. Now everyone behind him sees what's happening. Their spotters have let him know. So most of the field behind Sheldon Creed has now moved up in 1 and 2. It's going to be interesting to see how quick maybe Justin Allgaier or even Cole Custer gives it a shot.
Yeah, that's something, as a driver,
great
you
input.
want to know that information as quickly as possible. So as soon as someone's able to move up and find speed, you want to know that. How are they making speed? How high are they? I don't want to go too high. I don't want to get up in the marbles and slide into the fence. But if there's grip there, I want to mess with that and try to figure out how can I make my race car go faster and hang with the leaders like Sheldon Creed's doing right now.
Let's go back outside the top 10. I mentioned the fact we're at the midway point of the opening stage, and Kyle Busch is already up to 14th. Now, the advantage he had on the sticker tires pretty much gone right now, right? But he is putting himself in position to pounce, especially if he can get to the top 10 before the end of the stage.
Well, Kyle Busch knows exactly what he wants his car to feel like here. He's won here 11 times, so he obviously knows exactly what he needs in his race car, and he's going to have some great feedback as he gets done with this run for the team to make those adjustments, because we heard Justin Allgaier talk about it earlier. The rules package is a little bit different, so the characteristics of what's going to happen with the car are going to be a little bit different than what they've had here before.
We talked about how many spots he's up. You see it right there, 23 spots for Kyle Busch. But he's kind of leveled out right here in 14th, which means he's going to want to make a pit stop, make some changes to that car, see if they can make it better. But it doesn't look like it is a very dominant race car at the moment. We're still in the first run, and there's still 19 to go in the stage, but it'll be interesting to see if they can make that car better throughout the race.
Kevin, you mentioned the fact that he's won here 11 times. That's one of the reasons that the coach, Joe Gibbs, has been to victory lane here on 15 different occasions. He drove for him for such a long time, obviously. And the young guys from Joe Gibbs Racing delivering today. Sammy Smith has worked his way up to 4th after starting outside the top 10.
I do beg to differ with what Joey Logano mentioned about Kyle Busch not looking like he's got a race-winning car right now in the early going of the race, because if we look at the lap times he's been putting up lately, a 29.270 is the last lap Kyle Busch ran. Race leader Cole Custer's last lap was a 29.329, so about a full tenth of a second faster, and he is back in traffic right now. A lot of damage to the rear bumper of the 45 car, and it is going to fall right off the race car, and that will bring out a caution for debris. Somebody just ran it over, which is not going to be good for whoever that was. But the rear bumper cover of the race car, the 45 of Leland Honeyman, has come off. So with 16 laps to go at stage 1, an interesting timing caution here in this first stage, because now we may see some drivers pit, some stay out. It'll be interesting to see who does and who doesn't. I would imagine Kyle Busch not racing for points for Kaulig Racing will definitely pit here. But it also depends on how much the tire fall off is, which, as we have seen so far, I believe the field has fallen about a second off after 30 green flag laps to start this race. Considering that Custer's fastest time was a 28.231 and he was running 28 threes right at the end of that or 29 threes at the end of the run. So about a second of fall off so far after the first 30 laps of this race. That'll be something to keep in mind later on as well if we get cautions at all in the final stage. We had just 4 cautions all of last week's race for the Xfinity Series at Vegas, and the final stage went caution-free of all 110 laps there. Same stage splits for this weekend with 45 in the first 2 stages and 110 in the final stage. It was the 38 car, and I believe that is Joe Graff Jr., who had ran over the debris, and it looked like it did a pretty decent toll on the right front fender of that race car, showing the replay of the impact, so they're definitely going to want to look at that race car a little bit more. And that bumper cover came off the race car after contact with the wall in turns 1 and 2 about a half a lap before, and then the wind ended up just catching the flap of the right rear, which then in return caused the car to have that bumper fly off. Weather Expert Gaming, thanks for tuning into the stream as well. Wade Zielinski, welcome in. Pit road is open this time by. And everybody gonna stay out, it looks like. Inside the top 10, even Kyle Busch stays out, so everybody maintaining track position. Remember, they only have a certain amount of tires that they can use. I think either 3 or 4 sets is all they give the Xfinity Series most weekends out of the year, so could be another reason why they're staying out in the early going in case we get more cautions later in the race. Nobody going to go off strategy at the beginning. Take another look at the poll here right now. Again, I asked you guys who was going to win today's race. 45 votes so far. Kyle Busch still leads at 51%. That has gone down a little bit. Other has now risen to 24%. Justin Allgaier still at 16%. Cole Custer went from 3% to 9% over the last 17 votes roughly. So be sure to cast your vote. We will end that poll at the end of stage number 2 today, and that will be your guys' fan pick for who will win today's race. Dale Campbell, Keith, welcome into the stream. Free pass during that caution ends up going to the 07 car of Blaine Perkins, so he'll be back on the lead lap. So again, free pass to Blaine Perkins. After a debris caution, the rear bumper cover off the 45 car. Bringing out our first yellow at lap 30. By the time we get to the restart, we'll have a little bit over 10 laps to go yet in stage 1. Cole Custer had just over a 2-second lead at the time of the caution. Got out to that lead pretty quickly. Once Justin Allgaier took the race lead away, though, he was about a tenth or 2 quicker a lap than Custer, so it'll be interesting if he can get around him on this restart, have a shot to win the stage now that the field's going to be bunched back together. I would look out for Allgaier to potentially win the stage after seeing those lap times there towards the end of the green flag run before that caution came out. Once again, be sure to hit the like button. Subscribe for more daily NASCAR content as well. Who pitted? Nobody. Nobody at the front of the field. Maybe some drivers at the tail end of the lead lap, but that was it. Nobody notable hit pit road during the caution. Kyle Busch is the only Cup regular in the field this weekend. The last couple weeks at both Auto Club and Vegas on the West Coast swing for the Xfinity Series, we have seen about 2 to 3 Cup regulars in the race. But this weekend, just Busch. Tyler Reddick's ran the last couple Cup races. Austin Dillon ran at Auto Club. Ross Chastain's ran the last couple races as well, but not running this weekend. Remember, they're limited to only 5 runs per Cup regular. Unless you've been in the Cup Series for 3 or less seasons, then I think you're eligible to run 7 Xfinity or truck races. They will be going green this time by. We'll have 10 laps to go in stage 1. Custer will again elect the inside lane. Now, one thing that is worthy to note is that on the initial start of the race, when Allgaier qualified and started on the outside of the front row in second, he did not take off well in that upper lane. He lost about 4 spots, so it took him a little bit to get back to second place, which is how Custer was able to pull away from the get-go, because nobody else that got by Allgaier in the initial start was able to keep up with the 00. We'll see if that will be the case again here, or if the 7 will get a better launch after now knowing exactly how much grip is up there. Although the older tires on the restart this time could factor in as well, versus everybody at the start of the race having fresh tires. Through the get-go restart zone, green flag back in the air. The 7 spins the tires again. Custer's clear by a full car length, getting to the start-finish line before diving it off to the apron, as does most of the field. 3 wide into the first turn. No surprise there. We'll be seeing that all day long, maybe even more so later in the race. John Hunter Nemechek stuck in the middle between Sheldon Creed and Chandler Smith. Smith sliding around down on the apron, now slides up in line behind the 20 on the inside, still has the 98 of Herbst to the outside lane. Allgaier didn't lose as many spots that time, really only has 1 car underneath him. That was Sammy Smith initially. Allgaier clears him off turn 4, and looking to get after the 00 of Custer, who goes down to the apron. Allgaier pretty much stays on the actual racing line and heads to the outside lane into turns 1 and 2. It's going to help him get a drive off as he closes on Custer down to the back straightaway, entering into turns 3 and 4. He's got a couple mile-an-hour difference on entry. Allgaier goes to the top side through 3 and 4 now. Haven't seen too many drivers do it on that end of the track. Allgaier slips up the hill just a little bit, and Custer is able to maintain the race lead with 8 to go in the stage. Allgaier trying to regroup. Again, goes to the outside lane just a little bit. Not as high as he did the last time around, but about a half a lane higher than Custer. He's going to get a better launch off, and now they're side by side for the lead on the back straightaway. Heading into turns 3 and 4, Allgaier have the ability to stick on the outside this time around. A lot better that time. Custer slides through the center on the bottom, and Allgaier is clear to take the lead for the first time today. 7 laps to go in stage 1, and the number 7 car leads after 38 laps to start the race, was led by Cole Custer. Custer still riding on the bottom lane, not going to the top, changing his lane on either end of the track despite the success from the 7 of Allgaier. He's really the first one to go to the outside in turns 3 and 4. 1 and 2 he was able to get that run working for him for a while. Trouble, Josh Berry's around. Turn 4, cautions out again. Field will scatter around. Able to lock it down, and no real damage on the 8 car of Berry there, but we do have our second caution, our first spin of the race. Problems for Josh Berry. Chandler Smith seemed to have gotten into the corner a little deep. Almost got into Kyle Busch, who was on the outside of both of them after the contact on corner entry into turn 3. But Berry goes around off the front bumper of Chandler Smith's race car. They were battling for about 7th place on the racetrack. But there was definite contact that turned the 8 car of Berry around. It looked like the 16 was very deep into the corner, because after the contact, he even washed up about a groove or 2 into the middle lane after the contact with Berry. So definite deep dive into the corner. Whether it was intentional or not, we don't know. But Chandler Smith sent it into turn 3. And here's some radio input.
Let's listen in on the 16 radio after the most recent incident.
Hi, Paul. Got in deep because the thought baby was going to ship me. No worries.
He thought his teammate was going to ship him. I don't think that was going to happen.
Hey, pit road is open, and
Yeah.
here they are. Let's flip the stage, Regan.
Wide on the 20th, John Hunter Nemechek. He's been complaining about needing rear lateral grip with that car in the right rear. The 1/3 mark in the corner. Very descriptive on what he needs and where. That means the back is sliding out too much. He can't get that right rear tire to grip. Josh?
Just an update on the 18 of Sammy Smith, saying his car's pretty good right now. He fired off 3, definitely free into 3, so they're going to try and get him something to help him out there.
You got some drivers giving up some really good track position to come down pit road and get tires. They undoubtedly will stay out when the caution flies at the end of the stage, and then they will cycle to the front when all these other drivers decide to make a pit stop.
What do you think of all that, Joseph?
I like this call.
Yeah.
I like this call. Right? If you can't win the stage, put some tires on it. We're going to go back green with, what, 2 to go? Maybe?
Yeah.
And so you have 2 laps on your tires. I mean, you're going to have a bit of a disadvantage, but you're going to be pretty far back.
I would say even, I mean, when we go green here, you're not going to go a lap down. Don't even fire off. I mean, well, I guess you're racing other guys for those positions once we cycle through. So
I think you got to run.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you're right.
And I'm not sure how many. It looked like a lot of cars pitted there. They still might be able to get some points.
Yeah, could be. Yeah, come up
That's
there.
a lot newer tires. 42 laps on the other tire.
Big time.
That's a big deal.
What
Coleman?
Yeah, this choose right here is going to be very interesting. Justin Allgaier took the lead from the top side, but it was 2 laps after the restart. Cole Custer got cleared on the bottom lane, and even Sammy Smith almost cleared for second. It's going to be interesting to see which lane Justin takes here. I would think the bottom's going to prevail.
Well, he didn't do that. He took the top. Which, I agree. I would have probably wanted the bottom there. But it is how he just got the lead. He's driving the car. He probably knows more than us at the moment.
I feel like watching this race back from the fall, early restarts, inside lane. The later the race went, start seeing the control car jump to the outside.
Well, I think some of it might have to do with that car on the right side of you and trying to control where you're at on the racetrack, you know, because if Cole goes below onto the apron, Justin can be on the yellow line, and then he's in control of Cole if he can just stay side by side, because that car on the inside just gets so light.
He's definitely got to chase him down there.
Yes.
To where he does that 00 does not clear the 7. And then the other piece of this is those guys on tires back there. They're going to be passing some cars.
They're going to pass a bunch of them.
Well, before the choose, John Hunter Nemechek was 16. So he's got to pass just, 5 or 6 guys. That means taking the inside lane here, maybe 7 to get to a stage point on those fresher tires.
So there we go. 2 laps to go. Stage 1. Green flag back in the air. Allgaier, as you heard there moments ago, elects the outside lane. Custer goes down to the bottom, blocks the 2 of Sheldon Creed, who got bottlenecked. And now he's 3 wide middle for second place between Custer and Sammy Smith off into turns 1 and 2. Kyle Busch in the 10 car going 4 wide to the inside. Has his teammate Chandler Smith there. Custer, contact with Smith on the back straightaway. Kyle Busch just going to duck in line behind the 16. Wise decision by the veteran Busch. Still 3 wide down into 3 and 4. Smith holds the inside. Left side's all over that yellow line. Front of the field, Justin Allgaier is all clear. 0.4 of a second ahead of Creed, and Custer fell back to 5th on that restart, still on the inside lane. Battling his teammate Riley Herbst, now slips up the track a little bit. Hemrick and Smith looking to make some passes on him. Lap car in the 74 may have gotten into the way of Chandler Smith just a little bit off of turn 2. And our first green-white checkered flag will be waving off turn 4 as Justin Allgaier will win stage 1 at Phoenix. So Allgaier wins stage 1, Sheldon Creed 2nd, Sammy Smith 3rd, Riley Herbst 4th, Daniel Hemrick 5th, Cole Custer, who restarted 2nd, fell back to 6th, Kyle Busch 7th, Sam Mayer 8th, John Hunter Nemechek 9th, and Chandler Smith will all round out the top 10 receiving stage points in stage number 1. We'll have pit stops from the leaders on the other side. We'll stay right here during this break from Fox. That is the second stage win of the early going of the season for Justin Allgaier this year. I believe he won a stage at Las Vegas last weekend. We'll see if he'll be the 3rd different driver to lock himself into the playoffs this season. Off to a strong start, leading laps late. Custer still led the first 37, so he has led the most so far, but now he's losing track position. And Kyle Busch, after starting last, finishes 7th in stage number 1. Definitely on the move. Got just under 100 people watching. Hit that like button if you haven't done so already yet. 38 likes on the stream. Helps the streams out a ton. Helps me be able to do this as well. So hit that subscribe button if you haven't. I'm able to do these live streams on the weekend due to a change in my work schedule for during the week. So got to earn that money here on the weekend to be able to continue to do these streams for you guys. Appreciate all the support you guys give me on a weekly basis. Already the 4th week of the points paying season for NASCAR for both the Xfinity and the Cup Series side. Hard to believe we're already a month into the season. Yeah, pretty good race so far. Very early yet. About a quarter of the way home. I thought the Xfinity Championship race last year, being there in person, was wild. I mean, the battle within the top 3 in that final stage was pretty fun to watch. So if we get a battle like that in today's race, it's going to be a lot of fun to bring you guys a call here in the late going. Jim Troyer and Hingo, welcome into the stream also. Quick update on that voting poll. 60 votes so far. 48% say Kyle Busch will win today's race. That has gone down even more since the last check-in. 27% say other. Still only 8% say Cole Custer after he qualified on the pole and has led the most laps so far. In Stage 1 winner, Justin Allgaier, 17% for him. Those were the top 3 according to Vegas. FanDuel specifically coming into today's race. That's where I pull the votes. I always take the top 3 or 4 favorites and then have other on the side as well. So if you don't think any of those 3 drivers are going to win, then down in the chat below, be sure to voice your opinion for who you think will win this stage if you don't think it'll be one of those 3 drivers. But off the start of this race, I think there's a good chance it's going to be one of those 3 drivers. Busch Gregson was still in the Xfinity Series for the 2023 championship. Nah, that's okay. He's in the Cup Series. I think he'd rather be there now. Full time for Legacy Motor Club. Not a strong start to his rookie season, but he stayed out of trouble. That's the big thing. Pit road will be open this time by, and we'll see everybody who stayed out of the pits during the caution right before the end of the stage break for Josh Berry spinning. Those drivers will definitely be pitting here. 2005, by the way, was that season Harvick had 4 straight top 3 finishes to start the season. I was 1 year off. I thought it was 06. I just guessed it was 06 because he won the championship that year, but I guess 2005 he had an even better start. And here come the leaders into the pits.
By the way, you got 4 consecutive top 3s to begin the year 2005. Second, and second. I'm sure you were fun to live with back then. Man. They're pitting at the end of the stage. Here's Regan.
Adam Daniel Hemrick in the 11 car, the very first pit box on pit road, complaining about that race car being too loose, using the number system. He's a 4 loose in turns 1 and 2, and a 5 and 6 loose in turns 3 and 4. That's a lot. The 2 cars, Sheldon Creed, just a little bit too loose in and off of the corners, but he needs it to turn the middle a little bit more, so they're going to work on both those. Josh?
Well, Riley Hurts in the 98 looking to keep that top 10 streak going. Right now having a little bit of issues with the turn, but they're going to stay with it. No real adjustments for them. Moving on to the 7 of Justin Allgaier. So he feels good about the balance with that car right now. Your stage 1 winner and looking for his 3rd win here in Phoenix.
These are scheduled stops at the end of our opening stage, and keeping in mind there were some drivers that pitted there just prior to the stage ending, so they will cycle to the front on those older tires. Among them, Sam Mayer, who finished the best of that group, who'd already made a pit stop. He came home 8th in the first stage.
Hey Sam, this is Kevin Harvick up in the Fox booth. You've got the
Queuing up Sam
starting
Mayer.
spot for this restart with some good strategy from your team. Tell us how your car has been, and tell us what you're thinking as far as lane choice and what happens down there in turn 1 on this next restart.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of craziness here on this restart because there's probably about 5 cars on 4-lap Ultra tires with some stickers coming. So you're definitely going to see a lot of 3-4 wide racing here for the first 5 rows. And our car's pretty good. I think our artillery Camaro has a lot of turn, that's for sure. We're definitely a little bit on the free side, but I know Barty Lindley on the box is going to get me hooked up for this next little stint here.
All right, buddy. Well, good luck, and we'll be watching.
I appreciate you guys. Have fun in the booth.
Man, this kid's electric. 19 years old from Wisconsin.
Fox heading to another break, so we will give you guys the restart on the other side of it. You're watching the United Rentals 200 for the NASCAR Xfinity Series at Phoenix live on KRC. On the restart, front row will be Sam Mayer and John Hunter Nemechek when they go green. And then of the drivers who just pitted, Sammy Smith won the race out of the pits amongst them, but they will be restarting 20th on back. So your stage 1 winner, Justin Allgaier, back at 22nd. Kyle Busch was the biggest mover of the race so far, got up to 7th at the end of stage 1 after starting last. 31 spots gained through the first 45 laps for him. He'll be back at 24th for the restart again. And only 2 laps on everybody's tires at the front of the field. A lot of faster cars still up there, like Mayer, Nemechek, Austin Hill is up there, Brandon Jones. Ryan Truex was fastest in practice earlier today. So I should say he was fastest in 10, 15, and 20 lap averages, which is big for the long run speed side of things. And that's why we saw him in the top 10 throughout most of this first stage. He's in the 19 car for Joe Gibbs Racing. That is being split amongst various different drivers this season. Expect to run that 19 car full-time. Joe Graff Jr.'s ran a couple races in that car already this season. I think Connor Mosack made a start in that car at Daytona, if I remember correctly. And Ryan Truex making one of 5 starts in that car. 6 starts, rather, in that car here today as well. Truex hasn't ran a race since July of last season in the Xfinity Series. Came back pretty hot. Of course, he is the younger brother of Martin Truex Jr., who's in the Cup Series at Joe Gibbs Racing. Seen an interview with Ryan earlier during practice when I was watching, too. I didn't realize how much they kind of look like each other in the face. I feel like now that Ryan Truex is aging a little bit, when he was younger, and before he had like a beard of any kind, he didn't really look like Martin Truex Jr. But now that he's getting a little older, I'm like, okay, I kind of see Martin in him a little bit. You have to let me know in the chat if you think so too. I don't know if anybody even watched practice for the Xfinity Series or not earlier, but I didn't catch Cup practice last night, unfortunately. I actually kind of forgot that they were having a full session last night. But I did catch qualifying today. Kyle Larson will be on the pole for tomorrow's race at Phoenix. Denny Hamlin also qualified on the front row. Larson was fastest in both sessions of qualifying. Fell off a little bit in that second session, but he was 3/10 quicker than the second place car in that first session. So he's definitely going to be one to look out for tomorrow's race. Especially if he can keep that kind of pace up throughout the course of the run. Led a lot of laps, finished second at Las Vegas last week. He's my pick to win. He might be my pick to win again this week. Leaning towards him or Blaney right now, honestly. And I just, seeing the speed that he had in practice and qualifying, kind of looking towards potentially picking Larson. Blaney's had some good finishes at Phoenix over the last couple of years. And the Fords in general, very fast this weekend, and they've been very fast at Phoenix all of last year with the next-gen car, too. Even with the adjustments changed this year, doesn't look like they've lost a lot of pace. So Cole Custer had a pit road penalty, ran over the hose coming into his box. Hose on the rear tire changer's air gun is what he ran over coming into the pits. So therefore, Cole Custer will be restarting tail end of the longest line here on the restart. For qualifying on the pole and leading the first 37 laps of the race. Mentioned John Hunter Nemechek and Sam Mayer will be on the front row for the restart. Mayer elects the outside lane as his teammate Justin Allgaier had success with on the last couple restarts. Green flag back in the air for stage number 2. John Hunter Nemechek going down to the inside with the dive bomb. Can he clear Sam Mayer? Off into turns 1 and 2 they go. He's going to work his way up the racetrack. By the exit of turn 2, he is clear. Sam Mayer did not get as good of a launch as Allgaier was able to get in his last couple restarts, so John Hunter Nemechek going to lead for the first time today. Battle for second, though, going on between Austin Hill and Sam Mayer. Mayer should be able to clear Hill off the exit. Turn 4 spin, middle of the pack, 25. Brett Moffitt is around. Everybody will miss narrowly. The 08 of Greg Golding missed him, almost made contact with the left front fender of Moffitt's car, and we're under caution for the 4th time already today on lap 57. Had 4 cautions all of last week's race for the Xfinity Series at Las Vegas, and already 4 cautions in the first 57 laps of today's race. Had a debris yellow, 2 spins now, and a stage break. Contact between the 51 and the 25 sent the 25 car Moffitt around. They were 3 wide. Josh Berry was actually the car on the inside. Parker Kligerman barely slipping by the 25 car, who was sideways in the middle of turns 3 and 4. So another early caution in today's race. Sammy Smith gassed it up and passed about 3 or 4 cars that were checking up for Moffitt on the outside, so he gained quite a few positions with that and may have a chance to gain even more positions on yet another restart. So about 1 lap into the restart, we get a caution. Not even that. 3 wide and just a little bit of contact. I wonder if Clements knew if they were 3 wide or not, because it did look like he might have pinched the 25 off. But then again, I mean, you're 3 wide on a short track like this at Phoenix, and very, very easy for drivers to not realize how much space there are with the cars underneath them or above them in some cases. So whatever the case was, contact definitely caused that spin. Kyle Larson fastest in practice on Friday, and Larson has the pole too. Yep. Yeah, he'll definitely be one of the quicker ones tomorrow, you'd have to imagine. So John Hunter Nemechek just took the lead right before that caution flag came out. I'd like to thank everybody. I mentioned in the community tab earlier this week as well leading up, but last week's NASCAR Xfinity Series race at Las Vegas, we had reached our all-time high as far as most views for an Xfinity race live commentary stream on the channel, so appreciate everybody tuning in here Saturday afternoon. Probably not the most optimal time to be streaming on pretty much anything when it comes to streaming, but it works for the Xfinity Series. Obviously, you guys come out here, you like listening to the streams as well, so appreciate everybody tuning in regardless of the reason, and we'll see if we can top that again this week. It's going to be a tough number to beat, but very early in the season, I'd have to imagine we'll be able to beat it at some point this year. It'd be cool if we topped it every week and we just never go backwards. But I know realistically that's probably not going to happen. Tim Bailey, welcome into the stream also. Can't believe I'm saying this, but you can't really go wrong with Kyle Busch. No, you cannot. He's my pick to win this race. And if you're talking about tomorrow, he looks pretty quick this weekend. Again, qualified top 10. Wasn't that fast in practice on Friday. Might have been working on some random things, though. Try swinging for the fences setup-wise, but whatever they had in the car for qualifying today, he looked quick once again. Prince Will Plays, welcome into the stream. Westman, welcome in as well. Emerson Souza, thanks for tuning in. So again, under caution after a spin from Brett Moffitt. No major damage on his race car, but he'll have to go to the tail end of the field here. Tough break giving up that track position. They were all battling inside the top 10 at the time because they had stayed out of the pits during the stage break after pitting just before. So it's tough to give up the track position to then get it for Moffitt just to end up giving it back up again first lap following the restart of the stage. Dawson Cram is out of the race, 29 laps down. He's the only driver out of the race and the only driver also not on the lead lap. Nobody got the free pass during the stage break because nobody was a lap down. Same goes for this caution at lap 55 as well. Should be going green here any moment. Shouldn't have been too much cleanup for that spin, considering nobody else was collected. Waiting for the green flag. Early going yet of stage 2. Stage end at lap 90. So we have about 29 more laps from now yet. They'll be heading to the choose cone rule this time. Nemechek will be the first car to choose because he was in the lead when the caution came out. He'll elect the inside. I would too if I got to the lead on the inside lane as he did, despite not being the controlled car in that last restart. So now that he is the controlled car, maybe it'll work out even better for him. Row 2 on the restart will be Jeb Burton, Austin Hill, and then Brandon Jones, Ryan Truex will be row 3. Kyle Weatherman, Kaz Gralla, row 4. Jeremy Clements, Josh Berry, row 5. All the drivers that pitted during the stage break, Sammy Smith, Kyle Busch, Sheldon Creed, the biggest movers of those, but they'll still be restarting back in rows 8, 9, and 10 on this restart. Pace car on pit road. Midway down the backstretch right now on my end. And there might be a slight delay for YouTube, as there is every week, so bear with me for those of you that are watching the race and watching the stream, and be respectful to others in the chat. Try not to spoil anything as well. Green flag is going to be back in the air. Nemechek gets another good launch on the inside lane, and he's already clear of Sam Mayer going to the start-finish line before diving it now onto the apron through the dog leg. So he blocks Austin Hill in the 21 car, who also pulls clear of Sam Mayer. Mayer drifting a little bit too far wide in the center of the corner that time, and Ryan Truex from inside of row 3 now to the inside of Sam Mayer for third on the backstretch. 3 wide just behind those guys. Junior Motorsports sandwich in between Brandon Jones and Josh Berry is the 26 car of Kaz Gralla. Gralla bottoming out big time as he goes down to the apron. Splitter really dragging, drawing some sparks. Continues to battle Brandon Jones and Josh Berry for position. Berry going to be able to clear Gralla. Gralla does clear the 19, though, of Brandon Jones for 7th. Good run for him in the early going to this race. Was as low as 25th in the running order already in this race. A lot of that, I believe, though, was pitting during the caution before the end of the last stage. Sammy Smith already back up to 11th place. Kyle Busch to 13th. Biggest movers following this second restart of stage 2. Battle for 4th place between Jeb Burton and the 19 of Ryan Truex. Truex on the inside, Burton on the outside. Through turns 3 and 4, Burton going extra wide that time, and easily Truex is clear off of turn 4. Josh Berry now quickly closing on the 27 as well. That's a second entry for Jordan Anderson Racing in the 27 car, running 2 cars full-time this season in the Xfinity Series. Jeb Burton running races in the 27, and then the 31 being ran by 19-year-old Parker Retzlaff this year. Burton getting loose off of turn 2, and now Josh Berry gets underneath them heading into 3 and 4, trying to take over 5th. The 18 of Sammy Smith now looking to get back in the top 10 as he is going to make the pass on the 0-2 of Kyle Weatherman for Our Motorsports. And quickly down to the apron in the dogleg, trying to get underneath Daniel Hemrick, who's been off to a rough start this year as well. Henrik still nursing a knee injury. Was on crutches through the first 3 races of the season after a workout injury prior to the season opener at Daytona. But he is off of the crutches now, still not 100%. You'd have to imagine that has to factor in some way, shape, or form to the speed in that race team so far this season. Your driver's not 100%, I'm sure it's going to, as a result, especially with a leg injury when it comes to racing, like that sure maybe doesn't feel as if you're using as much of your knee as you would probably your ankle or foot, but I'm sure it still plays into effect from a pain tolerance standpoint. And you know when the driver is affected, and even an athlete is affected mentally, how much that can make a difference in any sport. Chandler Smith weaseling his way up the middle in a 3-wide battle between Jeremy Clements and Cole Custer for about 16th, and we've got a crash. Bringing out our 5th caution, the 24 car of Connor Mosack has backed it into the outside wall in turns 1 and 2. A lot of damage to the left rear corner panel of Mosack's race car, and really the whole left side of the race car is banged up. Hole in the right front fender as well. 5 cautions in 69 laps already today. Nemechek was still in the lead at the time of the yellow. And a tough break for Connor Mosack. I believe he's running full-time in the ARCA series this year. Part-time on the Xfinity side. Showing a replay what may have happened. It looked like there was contact between Mosack and Riley Herbst in the 98 car. Mosack was on the inside of Herbst getting into turn 1. Lost control, ended up in the wall. Josh Williams actually tagged both Mosack and the right rear corner panel of his car on the outside wall as well, trying to miss the 24 who had spun in front of him. So Josh Williams in the 92 also involved. Justin Allgaier's worked his way up to 14th after winning stage number 1, still just outside the top 10. He's got 3 drivers in front of him, though, that all pitted at the same lap as he did during the stage break. Those 3 drivers are Sheldon Creed, Kyle Busch, and Sammy Smith is the only one of those in the top 10, up to 8th. $20 to go, stage 2 so far. Top 5 right now, John Hunter Nemechek in the lead, Austin Hill 2nd, Sam Mayer 3rd, Ryan Truex 4th, and Josh Berry rounds out the top 5 and 5th. So we have about 130 laps to go yet in today's United Rentals 200 at Phoenix. Brainer Martinez, welcome into the stream. Also, Mike George, welcome. Thanks for everybody tuning in on this Saturday afternoon, as mentioned moments ago. I'll mention it many more times throughout the course of the stream. Breaking Units finished 6th last night. Awesome for him. I saw somebody got hurt in the ARCA race last night, so hopefully they're okay. Driver of the number 12 car. Guess he was in the hospital. Well wishes with him. Wasn't a great angle of exactly the impact on his hit in a late crash on a restart. With about 4 laps to go in that race last night.
Let's get to know a little bit more about the 28-year-old out of Winston, Georgia.
First car I owned was when I was 16. I had a Chevrolet Camaro and had a lot of speeding tickets in it, so we got rid of that thing fairly quick. Something that people would probably be surprised to hear about is I'm very into 90s country. I love all the women, country music, the Shania Twains and those types. I'll jam out in the car in them. I'll do it all the time. Well, if you're new to racing and you're just getting into it, I like to win. So if you like someone that likes to win, you got to cheer for me.
What jumps out? Speeding tickets in the Camaro?
No.
Or the women of the 90s in country music?
Neither. I want to hear
surprising.
I want to hear him sing.
Well, I don't know if you wanted to do that.
I want to see Kyle Busch's golf swing, and I want to hear Austin Hill sing. Maybe Austin Hill can sing to Kyle while he's trying to swing the golf ball. I don't know.
The hole's getting deep up here, Josh. What do you have?
Yeah, while you guys are talking singing, the biggest thing Austin Hill needs right now is just to be able to charge the entry on 3. He needs more security there. His team's telling him on 3, that's where he's getting beat. So he can use some help for now, but until he can get back in and pit, he's going to have to work a little bit harder, guys.
Well, he's got a couple choices. You know, you can not arc the corner as much. We talked earlier about the bumps into turn 3. You can straighten that entry out, or you can try to put some front brake in your car in order to keep the back from swinging around.
I mean, if he just turns the tunes up, everything's going to be all right anyway, right?
Just start humming.
Put Shania Twain on.
Yeah.
That's apparently who he likes.
Crank some Shania on restart
Why
and let it
wouldn't you?
fly.
A whole new crank it up segment.
Don't give the folks in the truck any ideas, okay? How many speeding tickets for the two of you?
I only have one
In your life?
in my life.
How many have you gotten out of? Because you're Kevin Hart.
Only one that I remember.
Oh,
How about
what?
you, Lagan?
Yeah.
Well, that must mean he's had a lot.
Oh. I'm not that bad. Not that bad. I'm pretty decent on the road. I'll say I'm decent. I've gotten maybe 1 or 2 speeding tickets. But for the most part, I'm pretty
You're
good.
5.
5.
5?
Yeah.
Kids changed the game on that, by the way. I became a lot
Sympathy
smarter.
points.
Smarter.
Oh, I just feel like when you have kids in the car, sometimes they understand the sense of urgency, and they might
Oh, you're saying
break.
you get out of it more. Oh,
I
no,
have.
it was not like that for me. I've slowed down, is what I'm saying, on the
Actually,
streets.
and if I said 5, I'd bet the under on that. Restart, 16 to go in the stage. This
Green flag back in the air, as you heard. 16 laps to go. Stage 2. John Hunter Nemechek and Austin Hill on the front row. Hill gets a good launch on the outside, something Sam Mayer was not able to do when he was in that lane. Kyle Busch quickly going to the top while everybody went towards the bottom. He's got a mess in front of him, though, as he's got about 4 wide right in front of his windshield. Austin Hill is able to stay along the side of John Hunter Nemechek from the exit of turn 2. Got to hold him very tightly on the bottom into 3 and 4, but you can really see him working the wheel as both of the front tires look to be chattering in the middle of turns 3 and 4. Nemechek is going to be able to clear down into 1. He'll slide up the racetrack as the 21 of Hill tries to pin his car down towards the bottom in the center of the corner. All 4 tires down below the yellow line. Nemechek's got some damage on the front of his race car. That was from practice earlier today when he had gotten into the back of a slower car that had gotten loose right in front of him. So a hole in the nose there, but doesn't seem to be affecting the car in speed in any way, shape, or form, as he has led the majority of the laps so far at Stage 2. Kyle Busch has cracked the top 10 following the restart, and Sammy Smith up to 4th. Look out for that 18 car. He's right with his teammate Ryan Truex now as they're side by side on the back straightaway. Smith throwing a block on Sam Mayer from behind, who thought about taking it 3 wide, thought better of it. Looks for the smart move to just kind of stay in line behind him. Kyle Busch up to 7th now, passing Jeb Burton and Kaz Grala that last lap. Couple cars still going down to the apron, trying to pass some cars that they're bunched together with since the restart. Specifically into that dog leg. Half a second lead now for Nemechek over Austin Hill. Still side by side for about a full lap now between the 18 and the 19. A little contact on the back straightaway. Smith tried to side draft Ryan Truex. Making contact with his teammate, and he'll be able to clear through turns 3 and 4 for 3rd place. Josh Berry getting a run on his teammate Sam Mayer as well as they battle for 4th. And this is actually a battle for 2nd right now. John Hunter Nemechek. Is this leaderboard off? It is not. I'm trying to figure out what happened to John Hunter Nemechek. But he is not at the front of the field anymore. Austin Hill has currently scored the leader. Nemechek has scored 22 seconds off the lead in 37th. honestly unaware exactly what's going on there. I don't know if that's an issue on the leaderboard or not. Still battling 3 wide. Further back in the traffic, Chandler Smith, Riley Herbst, and the 48 of Parker Kligerman, who's in a backup car. He's worked himself inside the top 15. 10 laps to go at stage 2. Side-by-side commercial break. We'll keep our coverage going here. Towards the end of this stage right now, half a second lead for Austin Hill over Sammy Smith. They didn't mention what happened to John Hunter Nemechek after that restart. But John Hunter's scored in 37th right now, 22 seconds off the lead. I wonder if he had a pass-through penalty of some sort. I don't know. You have to let me know in the chat if they mentioned something and I missed it over the broadcast, but Austin Hill is leading right now after he was battling side-by-side initially on the restart with Nemechek, and Nemechek was able to clear him, but is no longer the leader. And Sammy Smith, who has worked his way through the field very quickly on these restarts in Stage 2, is slowly closing in on him. Was about a tenth of a second quicker than Hill that last lap. He's got 8 more laps to try to catch him, and he's only 4/10 of a second off the race lead. Kyle Busch up to 6th, highest running Call League car of the 3. Starting deep in the field, he's about 2/10 of a second behind Sam Mayer as he battles him for 5th. And this last lap, Austin Hill has opened that gap just up a little bit more over Sammy Smith. Was about 3/10 quicker that last lap, so 6/10 of a second difference at the start-finish line. 7 laps, 7 miles to go, stage 2. In the NASCAR Xfinity Series race at the Phoenix Raceway. 4th race of the season so far. Trouble, Josh Berry has spun again. This time it's in turns 1 and 2. This will bring out a caution with 7 laps to go in the stage. Second time Josh Berry has spun today. This will be our 6th caution of the race in the first 84 laps. Berry was in 4th at the time of his spin. Had a little contact from Sam Mayer in the middle of the corner, which turned him around. Looked like it was right in the middle of turns 1 and 2, almost like Mayer picked up the throttle when Berry was still out of the gas and just ran right into him. Turned him around. Second time Josh Berry has been turned today. Tough break for him. First it was Chandler Smith in turns 3 and 4 who overcooked the corner, got into him, and now his teammate Sam Mayer overcooks it and gets into him. A lot of trouble with the JRM cars in the early going of the season, not necessarily because of speed, but just running into each other or costing themselves chances of winning races here in the early going. And all 4 of them still have not gone to victory lane through the first 3 races of the year. Allgaier, who has speed today, finished 1st at the end of Stage 1, got his 2nd stage win of the year, won a stage at Vegas last week as well. Finished top 3 in the first 3 races, but just hasn't gone to victory lane yet. We will get another restart in before the end of the stage. No major cleanup here. We'll have a few laps left on this restart. We had a 2-lap green-white checker shootout back in Stage 1. And this stage we're going to have anywhere between 2 to 3 laps to go in the restart again as well. They did not get the 1-to-go signal that last time by, so at least 2 to go on the restart, if not 3. Get back to racing. Pit road, I believe, is open this time. We'll probably see some drivers pit, some stay out again, and it'll be interesting to see who does what. Most of the leaders are in right now.
And flipping the stage and gaining track position because everybody's coming here, Regan.
Adam, it is absolutely busy down here right now. The 19 of Ryan Truex. That race car is pretty good for him right now. He just needs a little bit of turn in the middle of the corner so he can get to the gas pedal a little sooner, make the straightaway longer. And the 1 car is Sam Mayer. He came on the radio, said he felt like his teammate of the 8 car checked up in front of him. That race car right now is fast. He just can't pass anyone because he's too loose off. Josh?
Well, 21 of Austin Hill, he's been battling the same issue all day long, just a little too loose in the center, so they're going to try and tighten him up. As far as the 18 of Sammy Smith, they came on the radio and said they really didn't want this caution, didn't want to have to give up the track position, but they chose to pit anyway, guys.
The race off pit road, and boy, are we going to have a fun restart to end Stage 2. Well, we already had to race there, but I will say, Justin Allgaier elects to stay on the racetrack. And there you
Interesting.
see the numbers. Austin Hill holds serve.
So Allgaier stays out of the pits. He'll be the leader on the restart, I do believe. Yep, he will be. He's the first car behind the pace car. Austin Hill won the race out of the pits. Daniel Hemrick and his crew gaining 4 spots on pit road. Busch up 1. Ryan Truex down 2. And Sammy Smith down 1 as well. So the Joe Gibbs car is losing some spots on pit road. But Justin Allgaier going to have some older tires on this restart. There will be some other backmarker cars in between himself, Austin Hill, and Daniel Hemrick. They'll be getting the 1-to-go signal this time by, so we'll have exactly 2 laps to go at Stage 2, just as we did in a late stage restart, Stage 1. Allgaier was able to hold on to win the stage that time, but he had equal tires versus the rest of the field. This time, he's going to have older tires. We've had a lot of caution laps in this stage, but still probably looking at about 20-lap older tires for Allgaier. And after 30 laps into a run, we've seen a second of fall off, so this will be a big difference. Letters are rubbed off the right rear tire of Allgaier's race car already, so he's made some contact with somebody in these restarts. So he's going for the playoff point, more stage points here, but this is going to put him back in traffic to start the final stage. Top 5 cars stayed out. Austin Hill in 6th, who won the race off the pit road. Of everybody that did pit, will be the first car. He'll be in row 3 on the inside. So, him being on fresher tires and having that inside lane, that's going to be huge for Austin Hill. We'll see if he can get back to the lead, get another playoff point. He's already had a ton this year. 2 stage wins and 2 race wins for him. If he can win this stage, that'll put him at 13 playoff points in just the first 4 races of the year. Racking him up early on is Austin Hill. Into the Geico restart zone. Green flag back in the air. Not a good launch for Bailey Curry in the 4 car. That's going to hold Austin Hill up. He is going to get to the inside, trying to block Daniel Hemrick. Contact as he almost turned himself on the inside of the racetrack. 4 wide off into turns 1 and 2 now. Kyle Busch is on the outside lane trying to steer clear of all the slower cars. Trying to get to the outside of the 51 of Jeremy Clements, but he gets boxed in. Austin Hill's up to 3rd. Still have Anthony Alfredo at 2nd, and Allgaier's the leader. Hill looking to the inside of the 78. He gets blocked going into the corner. A logjam of traffic, 2x2 most of the way through the field. Busch split in the middle, 3 wide between a couple of the slower cars as well that time as they scatter through the dogleg again. We're on the final lap of the stage. Austin Hill went to the apron to get by Anthony Alfredo for 2nd. He's a half a second behind Allgaier. Hemrick to 3rd and Sammy Smith to 4th. Kyle Busch looking to the inside, almost making contact with the 98. Didn't realize he was there. Herbst stays in line behind Busch on the backstretch. Through turns 3 and 4, it'll be Justin Allgaier winning stage number 2, sweeping the stages today at Phoenix. Austin Hill will end up 2nd. Daniel Hemrick by a nose 3rd over Sammy Smith in 4th. Kyle Busch 5th. Anthony Alfredo 6th. Good call for him staying out of the pits there. Get 5 stage points. Sam Mayer will end up 7th. Riley Herbst 8th. Kaz Gralla 9th. And Sheldon Creed rounds out the top 10, all receiving stage points in stage 2 today at the Phoenix Raceway. We've got 120 people watching, 70 likes on the stream. Be sure to hit the like button if you haven't done so yet, and definitely subscribe for more daily NASCAR content, live race commentary streams every weekend, both for the Xfinity, the Cup, and the Truck Series. Trucks are off this weekend, so just Xfinity and Cup this weekend, hence no stream yesterday. Atlanta next week, all 3 series will be racing. The Truck and the Xfinity Series have a doubleheader on Saturday, so we'll actually have 2 live commentary streams on Saturday. I think the Truck race is the early race, and then the Xfinity race will be in the evening hours, and then the Cup race will be Sunday afternoon. So that is kind of the schedule for next weekend. Not sure the start times for any of those races yet. I will get to you on that before the end of the race. We're going to end our poll here at 101 votes. That has been casted. You guys say Kyle Busch is going to win the race. He's my pick to win, and it looks like he's your guys' pick to win collectively as well in the chat. 50% of the votes go to him. Other had 25% of the votes, second place. Cole Custer had 9%, and Allgaier, who won the first 2 stages today, was 17% of the votes. Kyle Busch was in 5th at the end of the stage, with Allgaier having to pit here. That will put Busch up to 4th on this restart. Austin Hill will be the leader when we go green for stage number 3. That is the 3rd stage win of the season for Austin Hill. Sweeping them this week, had a stage win last week, just looking for that first race win now. Jason Ferguson, welcome into the stream. And welcome anybody else who has joined the chat recently that I haven't been able to shout out at all yet. No beneficiaries of free passes over these last few cautions. We haven't had enough green flag racing in Stage 2 to put anybody a lap down like we did at the start of the race. Longest green flag run so far, 28 laps exactly, was when that first debris caution came out. And I don't think we've had a green flag run longer than 7 or 8 laps since then. We have had 7 cautions already in the first 90 laps of this race. 2 of them for stage breaks, but 5 elsewhere. 1 for debris and 4 spins so far. 1 car out of the race, and that would be Dawson Cram. And then Connor Mosek has quite a bit of damage to him. He's at the tail end of the lead lap, but all 37 cars still in the race are on the lead lap in this one. And I think actually Dawson Cram might be back in this race. I think he went behind the pit wall during green and then made his way back out at some point because he's 27 laps down. And he's actually gotten the free pass under these last 3 or 4 cautions because nobody else is a lap down. So he's made up about 4 laps with all the yellows coming out getting the free pass because nobody else is a lap down. Only going to really matter if somebody else gets knocked out of the race that he can actually pass some drivers for position there. Take a quick break here. Again, we're watching you guys are watching the United Rentals 200 here on the channel on KRC, and we'll get to the restart on the other side of this break very shortly. Had to make sure I got my phone. Get the chat in my lap so I can keep the leaderboard screen on for you guys. So there you go, 8-time. Interesting. Interesting stat line. Adam Alexander just dropped on the Xfinity Series race broadcast. Justin Allgaier, for the 8th time in his career, has swept stages 1 and 2 in an Xfinity race, but he has not won any of those races. It's an interesting stat because that trend may be a 9th race today, and I say that because Allgaier was the only driver that had notably had speed today that stayed out of the pits during that last caution. They're giving up track position. He's going to have to restart well outside the top 20 going into this final stage. Now, if we get a lot of cautions in the final stage like we've had so far in the first 2 stages of the race, this could work out for him. He can get some track position back on restarts. But if we have a long green flag run, it's going to be very, very difficult for Allgaier to get through traffic here. He's only going to have 2-lap fresher tires, which really isn't going to make much of a difference. He's got a fast enough race car with the JRM Chevrolet that he should be able to pass quite a few cars per position. But once he gets back to the top 10, it's going to be tough without any yellows to get beyond that.
And then getting to the 7 of Justin Allgaier, another guy that stayed out during the caution, but it paid off, sweeping stages 1 and 2. And now he said, we're keeping up the track position, but I get to do what I want to do, and that's being aggressive the rest of the race.
I'll say this, you go to the last couple of weeks at the pit road, the tie loose wheel, had the pit road unscheduled, and Fontana lost a lap and came back, finished top 3. Restart violation last week, comes back to finish 2nd. So Allgaier's been doing this the last couple of weeks. And Sammy Smith, a bunch of stage points today, 15 of them. And he's going to be 3rd in line when we do the choose here, Joey.
Let's dial up Sammy Smith. Sammy Smith, Joey Legato with the Fox booth. You got us?
Yeah, 10-4, got you guys.
Hey man, we've had a fun time watching you. It looks like your car is really fast. It fires off really good. We've been talking about how you've been going all the way to the bottom, especially with those newer tires. How's that hot rod feeling?
Yeah, my Toyota Jura Supra is really good. Hopefully we get some long green flag runs. I think we're really good in those long runs here. So hopefully we can keep this up and we'll get ourselves a win.
Well, you got yourself some track position now. And you can see the front. Seems like you've been battling to get track position most of the day. So good luck.
10-4, thank you.
18 years old from Johnston, Iowa. Moved to North Carolina. He's a high school senior, taking classes online, lives by himself so he could...
So there you heard from Sammy Smith. He'll be restarting in third place when we get this final stage underway. Austin Hill, Daniel Hemrick will be on the front row for the restart. Sammy Smith, Kyle Busch right behind them. Sam Mayer, Riley Herbst. Row 3, Cascarella, Sheldon Creed. Row 4, and then Ryan Truex, Cole Custer back there deeper in the field in the back half of the top 10 and 9th and 10th for this restart. Fox Sports going to a commercial break, so we will stay right here. We just had ours, so they'll have a restart when they'll be coming back. Pete Creamer, thanks for tuning in. Robin Dunn, welcome into the stream. Consistently over 100 people watching this weekend's Xfinity Series race coverage. We are just shy of the halfway mark for today's race. We had 150 likes during last week's live commentary stream of the Xfinity Series. We'll see if we can do that again this weekend. We're over halfway there already. A lot of cautions in the early going of this race. Again, 7 yellows in the first 2 stages. This final stage, 110 laps. By the time we go green, we'll have about 100 to go in this race. It'll be interesting if we get any longer green flag runs here. What the battling on track may look like, and we'll also keep an eye out on Justin Allgaier, who's going to be back in 30th on this restart. After winning the first 2 stages of the race, will he be able to get back through the field to win this final stage? No penalty for Allgaier. Decided to stay out to get stage points there in Stage 1 and Stage 2. With late cautions in the stage, it worked out for him in that essence. Has led some laps under green flag conditions as well. He's led the second most laps today with 20 laps led. Still unaware exactly what happened to John Hunter Nemechek. He's back at 14th. He led 19 laps. And then Cole Custer still led the most, 38 laps led. After qualifying on the pole, he led the first 38 laps. Hasn't led any since. And he is back in 10th. Just doesn't seem to have the long run speed in that race car. That's why he started fading at the end of Stage 1. And now with all the cautions, he hasn't been able to get that track position back, as he hasn't had many good restarts either. Somebody who does seem to have long run speed, that would be the 10 car of Kyle Busch, who has worked his way from the tail end of the field up to 4th. He hasn't led yet today, but this is as high up in the running order as he has been all race long. Look out for him if he can get some track position. His best time is a 28.541 versus Austin Hill's best time of 28.360. So a couple tenths slower, but you got to figure Busch has been in traffic. Austin Hill in the lead right now and led a lot of laps in Stage 2, which is where that fast time probably ended up coming into play. Nine lead changes, 6 different drivers have led. And exactly 100 laps to go when they take the green flag for Stage 3. Your dog and you say hi. Well, welcome into the stream, my Stephen King. So again, Austin Hill, Daniel Hemrick will be on the front row for the restart. Hill electing the inside lane. It's been interesting. I've noticed the Junior Motorsport Chevrolets pick the outside lane on the restarts when they're the control car. Sam Mayer, Justin Allgaier. Allgaier was using it very well. Sam Mayer, on the other hand, was not able to get the lead both times he restarted on the outside of the front row. But then everybody else, whether it's been John Hunter Nemechek, Austin Hill now, has elected the inside lane for the restart. And it has worked out for them. So pretty equal success. Everybody on equal tires for this restart. 100 down, 100 to go. Green flag back in the air as Austin Hill trying to block the 10 of Kyle Busch. Down on the bottom, there's contact. Very, very big block by Austin Hill. That did not work out. And now they're 4 wide for the race lead briefly in turns 1 and 2. Busch down on the bottom. Going to clear the 21. The 18 slides up high. Almost into Daniel Hemrick and squeezes him Nearly into the wall off turn 2. Busch down to try to block on the 18 car of Sammy Smith. He's not going to be able to do it. Side by side for the lead off turn 4. Busch leads his first lap of the day, but not by much. Less than a half a car length. 18 car underneath them. Austin Hill going back to the bottom. 3 wide for second place into the corner. In turns 1 and 2, Busch all the way up into that PJ1 on the outside with all 4 tires. He'll get the drive off of turn 2. Smith can't clear. Slides the rear tires on the bottom. And now having to block the 11 of Hemrick behind him. Kyle Busch is clear into turns 3 and 4. Continues to run the outside lane while the 18 of Smith goes back down to the yellow line on the bottom. And again will pull alongside Kyle Busch. Side drafts the left rear quarter panel before diving down to the apron into the dog leg. Arcs his corner off going into turns 1 and 2. Smith sends it into the corner. Slide job and off the exit of turn 2. He's got the lead. Sammy Smith out in front. Passing Kyle Busch. Busch going to go right back down to the bottom, realizing the outside wasn't working as well as he had hoped. And Sammy Smith is now leading this race with 96 laps to go, trying to get his first career win in the NASCAR Xfinity Series in just the 4th start of the season. Ran part-time in that 18 car after he turned 18 years old last year. John Hunter Nemechek has rallied back up to 7th. Looking to the inside of his teammate Ryan Truex. Can't get underneath him that time. Kyle Busch back to the outside at turns 1 and 2. Most of the field is doing that on that end of the track, but Sammy Smith still rounding out the bottom. Down on the yellow line, it's working for him so far. Busch was able to lead 1 lap on that restart before 2 laps rather on that restart before Sammy Smith was able to get around him. Busch went from 3rd to 1st initially on the inside of row 2 to take the lead. And Austin Hill had tried to make the block on Kyle Busch and was unsuccessful with it. Lost a lot of track position and fell back to 4th as a result. And he is about 1.3 seconds off the race lead. Sammy Smith is pulled ahead of Kyle Busch by 9/10 of a second already. At last lap, Sammy Smith ran a 28.495. And a 28.1 is his fastest lap of the race. And if I'm not mistaken, that is the fastest lap anybody has put down today. And that was on lap 103, which was right after the restart. 3 laps, in fact, into the restart. And it was the same lap he took the race lead away from Kyle Busch. That's an impressive lap time. I don't think I've seen anybody else in the 28.1s. And that was a low 28.1 for Sammy Smith. Can he keep this pace up, though, throughout the course of this final stage? That will be the interesting question. Big slide by the 16 car, Chandler Smith, trying to get around Sheldon Creek for 10th. Did a great job keeping it off of him. Remember, last week's race, despite having 4 cautions early in the race, went caution-free in the final stage. And it was the long run speed at the end which allowed for Austin Hill to get the victory after Chandler Smith and a colleague racing Chevrolet had led over 100 laps in the race, including winning Stage 2. And then, of course, not winning Stage 2, but after leading in Stage 2, and then also, of course, leading almost every lap of the final stage before, unfortunately, losing the race lead, coming to the white flag off of turn 4, where he got passed by both Hill and Allgaier. Faded in the final, really, 20 to 30 laps. That run had about a 3-second lead with 20 to go. And Hill just kept picking him off and putting him down and was able to conserve his tires. Now, Phoenix has a little bit more grip for long run versus Las Vegas. Not as much wear, but the tires will wear out over the course of a longer green flag run if we do get that. And will Austin Hill's car be set up for that once again today as he's sitting in 4th place? And will Sammy Smith, who is the race leader, be able to hang on? Because he's obviously got the fastest car on the track on the short run, and this run specifically running well faster than everybody else, but can he keep this up? That last lap, he was actually about a 10th slower than Kyle Busch. Sammy Smith ran a 28.850 despite running a 28.1. Back on lap 103, which was just 8 laps ago, so he's already fallen about 7/10 of a second off of where he was. Kyle Busch a little bit faster for the 2nd consecutive lap now, and he's cut the lead down to 1.2 seconds. It was 1.4 Busch about a tenth of a second quicker the last couple laps, a 28.703 again, and another 28.8 for Sammy Smith. So Smith got a good launch, ran his fastest laps of the day, got to a 1.4 second lead, but now it seems like Kyle Busch is slowly starting to reel it back in again as we're over 10 laps into this green flag run. Sammy Smith maybe abusing those tires a little bit too much to go from wherever he ended up on the restart all the way to the lead. I think he was in 5th on the restart, if I'm not mistaken. Could be wrong on that, but kind of came up out of nowhere there trying to challenge Busch for the lead. After Hill and Hemrick, who were on the front row, ended up falling back a little bit. They're now side by side for 3rd place. Austin Hill on the inside of Daniel Hemrick. Best run of the season in the early going of this race so far for Daniel Hemrick. Still 87 laps to go, but laps are not long at Phoenix. If we get the green flag racing in here, we won't be too far from the finish of this one. Dale Opplinger, thanks for tuning in. Fuel window, they will have to pit at some point in this final stage. That is a guarantee. I think the window, if I remember correctly from last year, was like anywhere between 70 to like 80 laps, 70, 85 laps, somewhere around there. So the field will have to pit one more time before the end of the race as we restarted with 100 to go. Nobody will be able to make it to the end here. Justin Allgaier's worked his way up to 16th after restarting 30th. He won the first 2 stages of the race, but a late caution stage 2. He was the only car to really stay out of the pits. Him and Anthony Alfredo, the only 2 to stay out, although Alfredo had been well outside the top 15 most of the race before that. Was able to get a couple extra stage points with it, finishing 6th in the stage. Kyle Busch has cut the lead down to 1 second now on Sammy Smith, just slowly but surely reeling him in. He's going back to the outside in turns 3 and 4, and now it seems to be working out in the longer run as the grip level's starting to fall on the bottom, and I believe that's where he's making the time up because Sammy Smith is still down on the yellow line on both ends of the racetrack. Looks like there's a piece of debris potentially on the grill of the 10. So that'll be interesting to watch. Maybe the temperatures on the 10 of Kyle Busch. Pretty decent day for Joe Gibbs Racing. Obviously, Sammy Smith in the lead. John Nemechek has led some laps today. He is currently 6th on his comeback trail. And Ryan Truex, who was very good in practice, had some speed, and he's been in the top 10 all race, currently in 9th as well. Sam Mayer side by side with Daniel Hemrick for 4th into turns 1 and 2. They're about 4 seconds off the race lead. No Fords inside the top 5 right now. Riley Herbst and Cole Custer are 7th and 8th on the leaderboard. Highest running Fords in the field. Kyle Busch was able to reel in Sammy Smith within 1 second. But now he is starting to fall off the lead again. And I wonder how much of that could be the debris on the grill of his race car. Maybe overheating the engine a tad. It looks like it, unless that's tape, but I don't think it is. I know you can't add tape in the Cup Series with the next-gen car, but pretty sure you're still allowed to in the truck in the Xfinity Series. And I don't think that's tape, because it looks like quite a bit covering the grill. Oh man, Sheldon Creed really struggling in turns 3 and 4. Almost got into the wall off the exit of the corner there. Saw him losing some grip in the center and carried it all the way to the exit. Barely kept it off the wall. Just outside the top 10 is Creed right now. Looks like he's got a little bit of damage to the front of his race car, like he got in the back of somebody on a restart. I don't know how much of that is a scuff or if it's actually affecting the handling of the car, but Creed's been right around that position on the racetrack most of this race, between like 8th and 12th the whole day, so him being in 11th isn't a huge shock right now. Because honestly, most of the drivers inside the top 5 have, for the most part, been there most of this race. I mean, the only car they're really missing up there is Justin Allgaier. And I'd probably put him in place of Daniel Hemrick in 5th of the drivers who had been inside the top 5 for most of this race. John Hunter Nemechek, by the way, up to 4th. Curious to see if he's running lap times that are quick enough to try to catch these guys. Kyle Busch fading on the long run, kind of like we saw at Las Vegas in the Xfinity race last weekend. Austin Hill now is battling him for 2nd. Three seconds is the difference now between P1 and P2 on the racetrack. Austin Hill is up to 2nd place. Kyle Busch. Yeah, Joey Logano just mentioning the garbage on the grill of the 10 car of Kyle Busch. I mentioned that a little while ago. It has been there for about 10 laps or so. He's trying to get in line behind the 21 on the back straightaway to try to get it off. And he was not able to get the trash off the grill there, so I wonder if that could be some of the reason that Busch is maybe backed off even more during this run. So that way the 21 could get around him, because there is no real sign of lap traffic anywhere close to here. And Kyle Busch off the exit of turn 2 will get behind Austin Hill with a pretty big run. It is gone now. So Kyle Busch holding back, trying to get the trash off the grill of the car to keep it from overheating, and now Austin Hill is going to battle him for the 2nd place spot. Almost got into the back of him. In the dog leg, carried a lot of momentum. Hill's been aggressive with his blocks. He blocked Kyle Busch on the initial restart and almost turned himself into the inside wall when Busch initially took that lead for the first couple laps. By the way, it also looks like the tape that was on the 20 car of John Hunter Nemechek has come off after the hole had been put in his nose of the race car back in practice earlier when he got in the back of a slower car. He's still in 4th right now, but he isn't as fast as what he was earlier in the run and has fallen about 5 seconds off the race lead. Sam Mayer just behind him, looking to battle for 4th. Austin Hill still in front of Kyle Busch right now. It's going to be tough to try to get back around that 21 car, I'm sure. Last lap, Austin Hill was about a 10th quicker than Sammy Smith. Same goes for Kyle Busch. Still about a 3.4 second lead, though. And Sammy Smith now picks up this lap, and he ran a 29.2 versus Hill and Busch 29.4, although they're still battling for position, so that has a little bit to do with it, but Sammy Smith still pacing himself very well right now. Side-by-side commercial on Fox Sports 1. We'll keep our coverage going right here. We'll go through the full field running order with 72 laps left. Sammy Smith is your race leader by 3.6 seconds over Austin Hill in 2nd place. Kyle Busch is in 3rd right now. John Hunter Nemechek in 4th. 5th place is Sam Mayer. 6th place is Riley Herbst. Daniel Hemrick 7th. Chandler Smith 8th. Sheldon Creed 9th. And Cole Custer is 10th. Ryan Truex in 11th. Brandon Jones 12th. 13th is Kyle Weatherman. 14th is Justin Allgaier. Josh Berry is 15th. Parker Kligerman in 16th. Jeb Burton 17th. Kaz Grala 18th. Brett Moffitt 19th. Parker Retzlaff is 20th. Ryan Sieg in 21st. Josh Williams 22nd. 23rd. Ryan Ellis now in 22nd, passing Josh Williams, who is now in 23rd. Anthony Alfredo 24th. Jeremy Clements 25th. Kyle Sieg 26th. Bailey Curry in 27th. Brendan Poole 28th. Joe Graff Jr. in 29th. And Greg Galding is 30th. Leland Honeyman in 31st. Connor Mosack 32nd. Garrett Smithley 33rd. 34th place is Joey Gase. Patrick Emmerly in 35th. Blaine Perkins, first car lap down in 36th. Jeffrey Earnhardt 37th. And Dawson Cram 31 laps down. Make that 32 laps down. Well off the pace right now. Most laps led in the race, still Cole Custer with 38 laps led after qualifying on the pole. And current race leader Sammy Smith has led 29 laps. We have had a total of 8 different drivers who have led a lap in today's race for a grand total of 13 lead changes amongst those 8 drivers, as we still have 69 laps to go in the United Rentals 200 at Phoenix. Still a 3.7 second lead for Smith over Hill. Kyle Busch now 4 seconds off the lead in third. Kyle Lance, thanks for tuning into the stream as well. Pulling for Kyle Busch. I am too, just because I have money on him. I'm thinking correctly. I think I get $189 if he wins. Be the first Xfinity race I'll predict correctly if that is the case. Wouldn't have expected Sammy Smith to win this race, although it's not surprising considering the speed that 18 team has had in the early going of the season. And he is definitely having his strongest run of his young NASCAR Xfinity Series career today. Both him and Sam Mayer are the only drivers under the age of 25 that are in the top 10 right now. Mayer in 5th place. Showing a replay that happened during the side-by-side commercial break of Kyle Busch getting off of turn 4 a little looser than what he wanted. Ended up getting into the outside wall a bit. Damage-wise, doesn't seem to have affected the car too much. He's still very close behind Austin Hill. Kyle Busch into that outside lane. Kyle battling a driver who races for the team he races for the Cup Series. Again, Busch racing for Kaulig, racing in the Xfinity Series in that 10 car. Still has 3 more starts in that car before the end of the season. I'm not sure exactly what his next race is that he is running. I know he's not going to be at Atlanta next week in the Xfinity Series. Don't think he will be in the Truck Series either. Austin Hill going down to the apron through the dogleg, trying to get by some of the lap cars at the tail end of the field. Sam Mayer challenging the 20 car of John Hunter Nemechek, and he'll pass him easily into turns 1 and 2 for 4th place. Nemechek with a block on the 98 car in the middle of the corner down on the bottom lane, as Herbst now trying to get by Nemechek for 5th. 4-second lead built up for Sammy Smith over Austin Hill, and 4.5 seconds over Busch in 3rd. Mayer's about a full second now behind Kyle Busch, as those 4th, 5th, and 6th place cars are slowly starting to creep in on the top. Well, I should say not really the top 3, but just the 2nd and 3rd place cars specifically. Doesn't help, obviously, that there's some lap traffic that is built up in front of both Austin Hill and Kyle Busch over recent laps. And now Sam Mayer getting into his first lap car of the run. Sheldon Creed to the inside of Daniel Hemrick, battling for 8th place on the racetrack. Cole Custer just behind him in 9th. And caution flag is out, it looks like. Got a car in the wall. That would be Greg Golding. Greg Golding in the outside wall at turns 1 and 2 and parked against it, bringing out our 8th caution of the race with 62 laps to go. And it is our first caution of stage 3. Golding is getting out of his race car, but it looks like he is in a little bit of pain. Maybe knocked the wind out of himself after a hard hit into the outside wall. Trying to catch his breath as he squatting down just outside his race car. Haven't seen a replay of the accident yet. Parker Kligerman had a brake failure going into that corner in qualifying earlier today. It took a hard hit. Turns 1 and 2. And I wonder if maybe the same thing happened with Greg Golding here. Not really showing the impact on the replay, but showing his car rolling against the wall, coming to a rest. But we haven't seen the actual impact yet. Be taking a trip to the infield care center. He's out of the car, though, which is a good sign. And I believe pit road will be open next time by. Who will pit? Who will stay out? They're mentioning that most of these teams only have one set of tires left at the end of this race, so the decision is, do you take that set of tires now and pit, or do you gamble, stay out, hoping we get a caution later in the race and then pit then? It is going to be a very interesting strategy. Sammy Smith going to stay out. Kyle Busch going to stay out. A lot of cars staying out at the front of the field here. I'm assuming pit road's open. It might be closed still. Yeah, pit road was still closed that time by. Never mind. I was going to say nobody was pitting. That would be why. Frank Powers, no Torres, welcome into the stream. Got our NASCAR Xfinity Series race coverage today, so appreciate everybody tuning in. Sammy Smith, currently the race leader with 59 laps to go. So we're under caution for the first time at Stage 3, and for the 8th time total in today's race, after Greg Gaulding has smacked the outside wall in turns 1 and 2. He'll be the first driver that is actually going to be legitimately out of the race today. Actually, Dawson Cram might be out of the race again. He pulled into the garage earlier, but now he's lost like 15 more laps from where he was, so he might have pulled off the track a second time. So about 2 drivers out of the race. And 31 will be on the lead lap. Following this caution, the 24 car of Connor Mosack gets the free pass in 31st. Looks like pit road was closed this time by as well off of turn 2. Everybody else again stays out, so still trying to get the cleanup most of the way done yet. Turns 1 and 2 before they open pit road. And again, these teams are on one set of tires left at the end of this race. So there's a little bit of a game plan here, whether you pit, take tires now, or maybe you save them hoping that we get a caution or multiple cautions at the end of this race and try to take on tires then. We've seen about 1 second of tire fall off over a 30-lap green flag stretch, so with 58 to go, we'll probably restart closer to about 54, 55 laps to go yet. I think you have to pit now if you're at the front of the field, because it'd be way too risky of a gamble if you're the leaders to stay out, get a caution, then try to get your way back through traffic, because it seems like it's pretty hard to pass cars once you get 5-6 laps into a run after a restart. Pit road is open this time by, and we'll see who's in.
Let's see how it
looks like most of the field is in.
Here they come, Regan.
When the 10 car, Kyle Busch, as he always is, very detailed on exactly what he wants for the race car and what the car is doing everywhere. Right now, he says the right sides just give up too quick. There's no longevity in that race car. It turns good for 15 laps and then quits turning for him, so he needs help with that. The 1 car is Sam Mayer. No changes for him. He says the car is good, just a little snug in the center, meaning a little tight in the center. He wants to leave that alone, though, Josh.
Well, the 18 of Sammy Smith led 40 laps so far, looking for that first career win. In order to do that, he needs a little more drive off in terms of the 21 of Austin Hill. Looking for his 3rd win in the first 4 races. He just needs a little more rear security if he's able to catch the lead.
Race up.
Kyle Busch going to win the race off of pit road, it appears. Rather, Austin Hill wins the race off pit road. I saw Kyle Busch get out ahead of Sammy Smith. Austin Hill wins the race off of pit road. Kyle Busch up 1 spot. Sammy Smith loses the lead. He'll be 3rd on the restart. Sam Mayer also loses 2 spots. Biggest gainer on pit road in the top 10. Justin Allgaier up 4 spots to 8th place. So final set of tires for these leaders. And with just 56 laps to go in this race, we'll see how it's going to work out for everybody. Robert Goodrich, Lisa Giblet, thanks for tuning in to the stream also. Stay right here as we'll be heading to a restart very shortly. So it'll be Kyle Busch and Austin Hill more than likely on the front row once they get through the choose cone. See exactly what lanes these guys will choose. Been pretty inconsistent whether drivers choose the top or the bottom. Austin Hill lost the lead on the bottom lane the last time, but we've seen drivers both on the bottom and the top have success today. So it's been pretty 50-50. Can't really blame... Honestly, I wouldn't blame anybody for picking either or. Whether that could potentially win them or lose them the race, just because we have seen equal success in both lanes. Both from the controlled cars and the non-controlled cars on the front row, and even cars that are further back in the pack. I do say if you're maybe in third place, you take the inside lane, because that's maybe your best chance to get to the lead there rather than the top, because you'll be stuck behind the second place car. But if you're, one of the top two cars, I think you just have to take the front row in the restart personally. Best chance to probably get to the lead. Brett Whiteside, thanks for tuning in. He's pulling for Rowdy. Yeah, I've got money on Kyle Busch to win this race, so I'm a Kyle Busch fan for the next half hour or so, however long this race takes to the end. About an hour 45 minutes into the race thus far. We had a lot of cautions in the first two stages, 7 of them in the first 90 laps. And we had our longest green flag run to start stage 3 of just over 35 laps before that caution for Greg Gaulding getting into the wall in turns 1 and 2. Sammy Smith has led the most laps today with 40 laps led so far before losing the lead on pit road to Austin Hill and Kyle Busch. We'll see what he can do from third place on this restart. He's got his teammate, John Hunter Nemechek, likely going to be alongside of him in row 2 here. Nemechek has led laps at one point today. Has a little bit of damage on the nose of his car for practice, and with the tape coming off, seemed to have slowed him up maybe just a little bit during that last run. Didn't really have a chance to put more tape back on the car because they wanted a quick pit stop to not lose him too much more track position. Daniel Powers, welcome into the stream also. I'm curious to see what Justin Allgaier back in 8th place can do. Getting some of that track position back after winning the first 2 stages of the race. He's another restart or 2 away from getting back in contention here. I probably lean towards 2. 2 more restarts to probably get Allgaier back in contention for the race lead. I don't think from 8th place he's going to have a chance to get it here. He'll be on the inside of row 4 in the restart, but I think he's just a little too far back. He can maybe get a couple spots now and then try to go for a couple more to potentially get himself in the lead if we get another caution after this. So Austin Hill on the inside of row 1 for the restart, and Kyle Busch will be on the outside. And then row 2, John Hunter Nemechek on the inside. And Sammy Smith actually elected the outside lane that time despite having the option to take the bottom because he was third out of the pits. Interesting call there. Green flag back in the air. Will this be the final restart of the day? Austin Hill going way down to the bottom. Kyle Busch staying up towards the top lane of the racetrack, not being overly aggressive that time. He's going to wait to turns 1 and 2, trying to get a run off the exit of the corner and stay alongside Hill. He'll be able to do it 3 and 4 wide, further back in the pack as they funnel off of turn 2. Front of the field, side by side for the lead. Busch on the outside. Hill on the bottom, side by side for third behind them as well with Sammy Smith and John Hunter Nemechek. Hill has both left side tires down on the yellow line on the paint, still side by side for the lead. Busch leads that lap by inches at the line. Sammy Smith thinking about going up the middle 3 wide, not a lot of room there. He's thinking about it. He's going to get there. 3 wide for the race lead. Sammy Smith up the middle between the 21 and the 18. He has cleared Austin Hill. Trouble at the back. Sheldon Creed's around while the 6th car goes sliding just underneath Sheldon Creed as he power slided through there. He barely cleared the 2 of Creed, who had already spun. He had a car underneath him and barely missed him as well. Flat left rear tire on Creed. I'm not sure if that was what caused the spin, or maybe that was after the spin, and the rough early going to this season continues for Sheldon Creed. Oh yeah, left rear tire was already flat in the middle of the corner. So flat left rear tire causes the spin for Sheldon Creed off the exit of turn 2. 6 car, by the way, was Brennan Poole. Power slid his way through there. Great job keeping it off of Creed. Great job by everybody keeping it off of Creed. It's caution number 9. Ryan Truex barely missed the 2 car as well. Sammy Smith scored the leader on that caution flag after a brilliant restart going 3 wide up the middle. Wasn't clear of Kyle Busch when the caution flag came out, but when they timed it back to the last scoring loop from when the yellow flag had come out, Sammy Smith was barely ahead of Kyle Busch, so had caution worked out for him because he wasn't clear yet. It's been really hard for the cars on the bottom lane to clear the cars on the top if you can't clear them the first opportunity you get alongside of them. But that caution may have bailed Sammy Smith out just for a little bit, and he'll be the control car in this upcoming restart. So again, 9 cautions in today's race. And because these teams are on their final set of tires, they're going to have to put scuffs back on the 2 car of Sheldon Creed for him to get to the end of this race. So the chances of recovery for Sheldon Creed today are going to be very slim to none. He was running just outside the top 10 at the time of the spin. I think he was around 11th or 12th. Matt Morat Horn, thanks for tuning in also. Got just over 150 people watching the stream. 50 laps to go in the United Rentals 200 at the Phoenix International Raceway. Be sure to hit the like button if you haven't done so yet, and also subscribe for more daily NASCAR content if you have not yet. We do live commentary streams on the race weekends for the Xfinity Cup and Truck. No Truck Series racing this weekend. It'll be a triple header next week at Atlanta, and a double header specifically on Saturday with the Trucks and the Xfinity Series going back to back. We'll be covering both of those streams. Both those races on separate streams that Saturday afternoon. And of course, we have our Cup race yet tomorrow at Phoenix. Our coverage begins right here on the channel at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with our pre-race. Give you guys some last-minute predictions, both for fantasy, some betting advice here before we get into the race tomorrow afternoon. And we will go racing again on another Sunday during this early NASCAR season. Ivan Yu, thanks for tuning in. Oh yeah, Kyle Busch is definitely there. Sammy Smith had the most pace during the green flag run to start stage 3. And unless other teams are able to make some adjustment changes to keep up with him, Sammy Smith's probably going to be very difficult to beat in these final 49 or so laps. Get that track position on him, though. That could be the difference. Putting that 18 car in the dirty air and not have him get the clean air from the get-go to pull away. Jeff Curry, welcome into the stream also. Done any green flag laps? Yeah, they have. The first 36, 37 laps of the final stage went green. And then the very first 28 laps went green. Those are the longest green flag runs. But again, 9 cautions have kind of plagued the middle portion of the race. And now a couple of cautions back to back here in the middle of stage 3. Nick Nichols, thanks for tuning in also. No, Crafton's not racing today. Matt Crafton doesn't race in the Xfinity Series. He's Truck Series only. Yeah, Super Speedway racing next weekend with Atlanta. First race I'm going to is COTA this year, so we will not be doing live commentary for the Cup Series that weekend, but I do plan on doing live commentary for the Xfinity and Truck Series on that Saturday afternoon. So we'll keep the streak of doing live commentary streams every week during the season alive, but I'll only be at the Cup race for COTA that Sunday. Larson starts on the pole tomorrow. He's also fastest in practice last night. 50-minute practice session last night and then qualifying today. Got a full practice session this week, but that was because of a rule package change to the short track and road course package with the next-gen car in the Cup Series. It's giving these teams some practice time with the first time with that, and seemed to have some tire fall off in practice yesterday, as well as a lot of slipping and sliding going on in the sun during qualifying earlier in this race as well. So it'll be interesting to watch tomorrow how the race will end up turning out to be. Allgaier was able to get 3 spots on that last restart, up to 5th now. Remember, he won the first 2 stages. He has not won a NASCAR Cup or a NASCAR Xfinity race when winning the first 2 stages. He's 0 for 8 when that has been the case. Trying not to make that 0 for 9 today. He's led the 3rd most laps in the race so far. And again, Sammy Smith, who currently leads, has led the most. All these teams only have about really 3 laps on their tires at the most following that restart, so still relatively fresh. And I believe they'll be getting the 1-to-go signal this time by at the line. Sammy Smith, again, is the control car for the restart. Will he elect the bottom or the top will be the question. We'll have a restart. We'll have 44 laps to go when they go green. Sammy Smith can elect the bottom. Kyle Busch to the outside, just as he has the last couple times. Been a long week, I guess. No. Only been watching 30 years? Yeah, he's only in the Truck Series. Miseo Garcia, thanks for tuning in. Who do I think is going to have a good F1 race? I'd probably lean towards Kimi having a better run just because he has Cup experience with running with the next-gen car last year at the Glen, personally. We'll have to wait and see, though. Green flag back in the air at Phoenix. Down to the bottom goes Sammy Smith to try to block the 21 car of Austin Hill. Again, Busch on the outside, trying to stay on the outside of the 18 car by the exit of turn 2. He'll get the power down, but not soon enough with the 20 car of John Hunter Nemechek side drafting him from underneath, and Sammy Smith is clear for the race lead. Justin Allgaier squeezes to the inside of the 21 car, overdrives the entrance to the corner after Hill had pinched him off, and now there's near contact between Riley Herbst and Allgaier off the exit of turn 4. Allgaier got put 3 wide middle. Josh Berry was on the outside of that and clears both the 7 and the 98. Kyle Busch back to 3rd place. John Hunter Nemechek to P2, and now you have the Joe Gibbs Racing Toyotas running 1-2 at the front of the field. Josh Berry moves into 5th on this restart, and Justin Allgaier net loss of 1 spot back to 6th place. Half a second lead for Smith over Nemechek. And will the 2 Toyotas go head-to-head here at the finish and duke it out for the win? And can Kyle Busch in 3rd place be able to keep pace with the Joe Gibbs Toyotas, which he struggled to do when Sammy Smith was leading at the beginning of the stage? Last set of tires for these teams, too, so what they have is what they have from now to the end of the race. There will be no more pit stops, no more adjustments for them. Josh Berry with a little damage to the left front of his race car. Tape job. He has spun twice in this race. Neither time was his fault. Sam Mayer got into him in turns 1 and 2 earlier and spun him around, and then Chandler Smith back in stage 1 spun him after contact getting into turn 3 a little hot. Barry is battling side by side with Austin Hill. Barry went to the outside to try to get the positioning on Hill rather than trying to pass him on the bottom where there's a bit more drive off on the top versus the inside lane, especially if he could squeeze the car on the bottom. He's giving him a little bit of room in turns 1 and 2. Barry's squirming around quite a bit, though, off the exit of turn 2 as he got a tad loose, and Hill's able to stay underneath in a battle for fourth still. These guys are already 2.5 seconds off the race lead, though, losing the top 3, and Sammy Smith in the 18 car is already out to a 1.5 second lead over John Hunter Nemechek. Barry and Hill have been battling side by side for about 2 full laps now. Neither able to clear one another. Not too aggressive with the side drafting on either ends of the straightaways, whether it's the front stretch through the dogleg or the back straightaway on the flatter front stretch. Kyle Busch now falling about a full half a second behind John Hunter Nemechek as well. Josh Berry finally clear of Austin Hill for fourth. Still working the outside. Top 3 all along the bottom through turns 1 and 2 at least. "54 laps led and counting for Sammy Smith, but we did see Chandler Smith in the 16 car for Kaulig Racing last week lead over half the race and not get the win. Will Sammy Smith be able to lead the most laps today and get the win? We'll have to wait and find out. We don't even know if that last restart was the final one of the race either, and these guys will have to deal with lap traffic if we get a long enough green flag run today, which is something that they haven't really had to deal with a whole lot of, except for the backmarker cars at the very tail end of the field. I think the least amount of cars we had on the lead lap at one point in time in this race was 30, so still quite a few. 38 car field, and there were a couple cars out of the race. Chandler Smith finally working himself up in a running order after this restart, maybe making some good adjustment changes to that car during the last set of pit stops before the second to last restart that we had recently had. Gets by both Justin Allgaier and Riley Herbst. Moves himself up to 6th, quickly closing on Austin Hill for 5th as well. So your top 10 right now, Sammy Smith is the race leader. John Hunter Nemechek is in 2nd. Kyle Busch 3rd. Josh Berry 4th. Austin Hill is 5th. Chandler Smith is in 6th place. 7th place is Riley Herbst. Justin Allgaier 8th. Cole Custer from the pole back in 9th. And Sam Mayer is in 10th. Daniel Hemrick has really faded in this one. He was top 5 early in this stage, and now he's back to 13th after just getting passed by Brandon Jones. Rough starts to the season for both Jones and Hemrick. 1 top 10 combined between those two through the first 3 races, and they're both outside the top 10 in race 4 at 12th and 13th right now. Brandon Jones in a new ride this year at JRM, and of course Daniel Hemrick having that knee injury from working out leading up to the season opener at Daytona. Both have to be factoring in, you'd have to think, to their lack of success in the early going of the season. There's some contact between Kyler Weatherman as well as the, believe it was the 27 that he got into, of Jeb Burton, a couple of laps ago. Both cars able to hang on to it. Fox going to a commercial break here with about 32 laps to go. We'll take our final break of the race. Again, you are watching United Rentals 200 live here on the channel. KRC will bring you into the finish following this. Little side-by-side break here from Fox. 2.5 second lead extended now for Sammy Smith over John Hunter Nemechek. I don't think anybody's got anything for him personally. Smith has really turned it on in this 3rd stage. Parker Kligerman back up to 14th after wrecking and qualifying earlier. He was in a backup car. 78 car, by the way, just had a spin. It's Anthony Alfredo for BJ McLeod Motorsports. Has spun off the exit of turn 2, bringing out caution number 10. So caution flag is out with 30 laps to go, or 10th of the race. This will set up another wild Phoenix restart. Everybody on a little bit older tires right now. Villanor, thanks for tuning in. Be awesome if Kyle Busch is driving for Junior Motorsports. That is not the case, though. He's driving for Colleague in the Xfinity series. James Moore, welcome into the stream also. About half a minute. Hey, that's about a full lap. A lot of that is YouTube, though, too. I watched the races on Hulu. That has a slight delay versus cable, but not too much. I think a lot of it, though, is just YouTube. Having the delay from what I'm saying to what you guys are actually hearing. It's like Alfredo kind of spun out on his own, bringing out that caution, snapped loose on him on the bottom lane in the middle of turns 1 and 2. Barely got missed by one car who was riding on the outside behind him. And that was the 51 of Jeremy Clements who made the near miss. It's YouTube. Yeah, I'm sure that has a lot to do with it. Yeah, because I'm pretty sure, so I'm a Green Bay Packers fan. When it comes to football, and in the wintertime, I watch Tom Grossi's channel for anybody that knows who he is. And he live streams all the Packers games. Not kind of the same thing I do with this, only I give this a realistic commentary. He's more on the comedic side of things, so he doesn't really he just kind of talks as the game's going on. He doesn't necessarily commentate. He kind of does, but not really. Not like this. But anyway, I listen to that from time to time, but it's kind of hard to listen to it, though, because it is, a little bit off. It's like a full minute off, usually. So I can understand any frustrations you guys might have with this. Live TV, 7-second delay. YouTube is about a 15-second delay. Well, you put those two together, it's about 23 seconds. Watch Grossi too, yeah. I found out about his channel, man. It was a little bit ago now. It was before COVID. It was probably off-season 2018 going into 2019, I think. Right around there, I think I started watching this channel. Evan Stevens, thanks for tuning in. It's like predicting the future. Yeah, a little bit, I guess. If you look at it that way. 100 likes? Awesome. I have to refresh, see exactly what we're at on my end. We have 103 likes so far, so appreciate that, guys. Hit the like button if you haven't done so yet. We hit 150 likes on the stream last week. So let's see if we can get that before the end of this race this week. We have 25 laps to go. Under caution right now for the 10th time in this race. By the way, free pass went to the 07 car during this spin. Blaine Perkins back on the lead lap in 35th. So Sammy Smith going to elect the inside lane on the front row once again. John Hunter Nemechek will be on the outside of the front row. Kyle Busch will be on the inside of row number 2. Outside of row 2 is Josh Berry in the 8. After spinning twice in today's race, he's still in it. P for the D. Tina Martin, thanks for tuning in also. Yeah, I try not to get up and leave the streams even during commercial breaks, so in case they cut back from break because of an accident, we don't miss anything here. But a lot of that's because I'm giving you guys realistic commentary, though, for. Will this be the final restart? 24 to go, and a dash for the cash to the very end. Green flag back in the air. It looked like the Joe Gibbs Toyotas might have gotten into each other on the restart. Opens up the bottom for Kyle Busch to get underneath the 18 and the 20 as they head off into turn 1. Busch going to sail it in pretty deep. The 20 into the wall. John Hunter Nemechek can't hold on to it. He overdrove the corner, and Kyle Busch is going to try to go for the lead under Sammy Smith. More contact back in the pack between Chandler Smith and Justin Allgaier as they're 4 wide on the back straightaway. Sammy Smith defends on Kyle Busch for the race lead. Busch to P2. John Hunter Nemechek got into the wall. And he is going to go all the way back outside the top 10, I believe. He's in 13th now after getting into the wall, restarting on the outside of the front row. He just drove it in too deep. Didn't have the grip on the older tires on this restart. And lost it. Still 3 wide mess back in the pack off turn 2 as they funnel into 3 and 4. Nemechek on the outside of the 7 and the 9. And the JRM cars get together of Allgaier and Jones. And they get squeezed and Allgaier's hard in the wall. Caution flag is out again. Justin Allgaier is in it heavily. The 26 car of Kaz Grala collected. And that will end Allgaier's day. After winning the first 2 stages of the race, Justin Allgaier will have to rely on those stage points for his points day. Window net is down. He's bringing that car to pit road. And Allgaier's done. And Gralla probably is too, because he kind of got T-boned into the wall by the 7. And the caution flag with 22 laps left is out. We'll have at least one more go at a restart. It looked like Brandon Jones got into the 7, washed him up the racetrack, and then as cars are trying to scather by to the inside, the 26 made contact with Brett Moffitt, and Brandon Jones got turned into the wall right in front of the 7, which then pinched Allgaier into the wall as well. They were 4 wide in turns 3 and 4. Jones had driven it in pretty deep, trying to squeeze between Kligerman and Allgaier, which caused the initial contact between the 9 and the 7. Not the first time we've seen JRM cars get together on a racetrack this season, causing at least one of them to get knocked out of the race. Oddly enough, we saw it from Josh Berry and Brandon Jones at Daytona, and now Allgaier and Jones late in this race. And a tough break for Allgaier after gathering himself back into the top 5 in this final stage, and then got washed up, fell back a couple spots on this restart, and obviously was in the eye of the storm there. Probably put the fault on Brandon Jones for starting it there, for trying to put it 4 wide in the middle between the 7 and the 48 when there was just no room. Not a whole lot of damage on the 9 of Brandon Jones, but obviously enough to take Allgaier out of it, and more than likely taking Kaz Gralla out of the race also. Wild restart there. Again, John Hunter Nemechek initially at first lap after the restart at turns 1 and 2 got into the wall. Just overdrove the corner. He's back in 11th now. That moved Kyle Busch into 2nd. He battled alongside Sammy Smith for about a half a lap and then ended up not being able to hold on and fell behind just a bit. Allgaier seems very frustrated. down to 19 laps to go. Probably a little bit of cleanup following this wreck, so I'd imagine we won't get a restart till anywhere between 15 to 16 to go yet. Still plenty of time. Get some more racing in here for the end. But as we build up with as many cautions as we have already seen today, I believe that was our 11th. Yeah, that was the 11th caution of the race at lap 178. Cautions definitely breeding cautions in these final 50 laps. One of those types of Xfinity races here today. Don't think the cautions are done. Big one is likely. I hope that doesn't happen, but we'll have to wait and see. I wouldn't be surprised at the same time the way that this race has been so far. Very caution-filled after last week's race at Las Vegas. Only had 4 cautions total and none in the final stage. Went over 100 laps green to the checker. Still ended up in a pretty solid close finish. Austin Hill getting the win, passing Chandler Smith for the W, coming to the white flag. Austin Hill still in contention today in 4th. Josh Berry got to 3rd on that restart, by the way, so he is not that far out of this thing either and has shown some speed since the last pit stops. If anybody's got anything for Sammy Smith speed-wise, maybe it's Josh Berry in the 8. Parker Kligerman in the top 10 in a backup car after cracking the wall in qualifying earlier. He's had some speed in races, hasn't gotten as good at finishes, but today, at least during the race, he's staying out of trouble and might end up getting a pretty good finish out of it. Predicting red flag towards the end, I really hope that doesn't happen. Hope your prediction's wrong. Sammy Smith having to go through a lot of work on these restarts, trying to hold off and defend the field behind him. He's done a great job the last 2, but having to do it at least one more time here. And hopes to try to get his first career win in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Smith just 18 years of age, running full-time in the Xfinity Series this year, and his 4th start of the season, obviously, with it being the 4th race. Ran part-time last season, had some solid runs. Most notably, had a top 3 at Watkins Glen last year on a road course, but started to show some promising runs on ovals towards the end of last year. Got the full-time ride this year with the sponsorship with Pilot Flying J on that car through most of this season, and it'll be interesting to see if he can compete for a championship, because out of the early races of the intermediate tracks this season, Sammy Smith's had quite a bit of speed and may have an outside chance at the championship for the Xfinity Series this year. Maybe looking like a championship 4 favorite through these first 4 races and trying to build some playoff points with that. If he can get a win today, and a win will secure himself a spot in the playoffs as well, alongside with Austin Hill, who has won 2 races already this season, and John Hunter Nemechek, his teammate, who won at Auto Club 2 races ago. Sammy Smith going to elect the inside lane on the restart. Kyle Busch will go to the top. Josh Berry going to go to the outside as well, so Austin Hill will now be on the bottom in row 2. Row 3, Chandler Smith on the inside, Riley Herbst on the outside. We're going to have 15 laps to go in the restart. Sammy Smith trying to hold off a 3rd time. Both the inside and the outside have worked out pretty evenly in today's race with the controlled cars and the non-controlled cars on the front row of the restart. It's a tough decision to make in today's race specifically because both lanes have been so equal. It seems to be if you're on the inside lane and you can't clear off the exit of turn 2, that's where the outside lane seems to prevail. But on the last restart, Sammy Smith wasn't clear on the outside of Kyle Busch and was still able to hold on to the lead. So we'll see if that'll be the case again this time. Green flag back in the air. Kyle Busch spun the tires on the restart, and Sammy Smith got a great launch out ahead of the 21 of Austin Hill. Trying to defend now as he quickly goes towards the top lane of the racetrack. Austin Hill almost turned himself off the 19 car of Ryan Truex on the bottom, getting into turn 1. Kyle Busch with a good run off the exit of the corner holds on to second. Sammy Smith easily clear by about a half a car length on Busch down the backstretch into 3 and 4. Kyle Busch going to the outside lane. His teammate Chandler Smith right behind him up to third as he gets by Austin Hill. Sammy Smith, the car like the head of Busch, 14 to go. Can he hold off two-time NASCAR Cup champ, 61-time NASCAR Cup Series winner? Smith going to the bottom of the racetrack. That's going to allow Busch to get a little bit better quarter exit speed. Smith wiggles the car just a little bit. Busch trying to get underneath him. Side by side for the lead down into turn 3. Smith going to get the drive off on the outside. Kyle Busch can't win the race back to the throttle and has to stay in line behind the 18 again. Smith going down to the apron. Through the dog leg. Trying to shortcut the corner. Kyle Busch stay along the outside of the racetrack. Both cars running the bottom. Maybe a half a lane off the bottom is Busch. And Chandler Smith trying to win the race back to the gas. Busch slides loose off the exit of turn 2. Almost into the wall, and Smith is under him for second. Chandler Smith is not going to be able to beat Kyle Busch off of turn 4, and Busch will hang on to second place, but as they battle, it's allowing the 18 car to pull away. Ryan Truex out of nowhere up to 4th off that most recent restart, and now he is battling with the Kaulig cars for second place. Remember, that is a Joe Gibbs Toyota in the 19, so maybe he has something for Sammy Smith. Big block by Busch on the backstretch on the 16. Both cars on the outside slipping and sliding a lot more than the car that is smooth on the bottom of Ryan Truex. Truex pins it down to the apron through the dog leg, clears the 16. He's side by side for second with Kyle Busch going into turn 1. These guys are still only 0.8 of a second off the race leader from Sammy Smith, who isn't pulling away as quickly as what he was on the longer green flag run in the stage. But Truex is clear going into turn 3. Busch overdrives the corner on the outside. A lot of bottom wide open for Chandler Smith now. Busch stays in front of the 16, but he drops back to third, and Ryan Truex 0.9 of a second off the lead, trying to run down Sammy Smith. Truex also trying to get his first career win in the Xfinity Series. So Joe Gibbs Racing 1-2 at the front of the field again. Nemechek, by the way, has regathered himself up to the 6th place spot after getting into the wall the restart before that. Drop it from 2nd back to about 13th. So much solid restart. Much more solid restart that last time by for him. Ryan Truex a little bit faster than Sammy Smith that last lap by about 0.04 of a second. Half a second off the race lead right now off of turn 2 with just 9 laps to go. John Hunter Nemechek and Sheldon Creed side by side for 6. Great recovery by Creed on those scuff tires nonetheless. Trying to get himself into the 6th place spot as he clears John Hunter Nemechek through 3 and 4 for the position. Sammy Smith on the bottom lane trying to play a little bit of defense. Although Truex isn't close enough to get underneath him yet, he has definitely closed that gap over the last few laps. And can he continue to close? 7 to go at the line. Kyle Busch still a little less than a second off the race lead in 3rd, yet Chandler Smith starting to lose the top 3 just a tad. He's a 2.5 back in 4th. If the 19 and the 18 get to racing, there could be a chance Kyle Busch could close in, but he's going to need those two to get racing quickly as we're down to just 6 laps left. Riley Herbst is closing in on Chandler Smith for 4th place. Austin Hill has fallen back to 8th place after this restart. Ran top 3 most of the day before that. And Josh Berry, who restarted on the outside of row 2, is also back to 9th. So both the cars that restarted in row 2 are now 8th and 9th in the running order. 5 laps to go. Ryan Truex, that last lap was a little slower than Sammy Smith by about 1/10 of a second. Almost a 6/10 of a second lead at the start-finish line specifically. Both cars with all 4 tires down below the yellow line on entrance into turns 1 and 2, really flatlining the corner. Busch, who's still on the outside, just not able to keep up with the two Joe Gibbs Toyotas in front of him. '84 career starts in the Xfinity Series for Ryan Truex. His best finish is second, and it was in the 2019 spring race right here at Phoenix. This is his first of 6 races in this 19 car for JGR in the Xfinity Series this year, and he's trying to win in his first start of the season. Joe Graf Jr.'s had a couple of top 10s in that car already this year as well. 3 laps to go at the line. The last pass for the race lead of the race last week at Vegas came coming to the white flag. What will happen here in the closing laps today? Truex is still about 3 to 4 car lengths behind Sammy Smith. He's going to run about a half a lane above the yellow line through 1 and 2, trying to get maybe a little clean air on the race car. The 18 a lot more smooth off turn 2. Truex had those rear tires sliding out as the right rear almost snagged the wall off the exit of the corner. Now Sammy Smith sliding around quite a bit in turns 3 and 4, but it was a little bit quicker than Truex. That last lap has widened the gap out by about 2 or 3 car lengths. 2 laps left. They get to the white flag. The next flag ends the race. Kyle Busch under duress now for 3rd place from Chandler Smith. Both on the outside lane there. Smith looking to the inside of Kyle Busch for 3rd. Kyle probably going to let him go here, knowing that he isn't racing for points and Chandler Smith is. Smith is all clear off the exit of turn 4. 1 lap to go. Busch actually going to try a crossover, and Sheldon Creed has caught up to Riley Herbst in a battle for 5th as they're side-by-side at the line. 1 lap to go, sponsored by Credit One Bank. It's a half a second lead for Sammy Smith off the exit of turn 2. And the 18-year-old looking for his first career win in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, and the number 18 car is going to get it done as he rounds 3 and 4. Checkered flag. Sammy Smith is going to win his first career Xfinity race, and it comes at Phoenix. His teammate Ryan Truex ends up at 2nd. Sheldon Creed got to 3rd on that last lap. I think Chandler Smith and Kyle Busch might have gotten together because Smith ended up 5th and Busch ended up 9th. We'll have to wait to see what happened back there, but Chandler Smith and Kyle Busch may have gotten together on the final lap because Busch dropped from 3rd to 9th and Smith dropped back to 5th. Sheldon Creed with a 3rd place run after spinning in stage 3. Had scuffed tires on, which were older tires than the rest of the field the rest of this race, and wheeled that car, surviving all the restarts to get up to where he finished. Riley Herbst with a 4th place run, solid for him. And a burnout now on the front stretch for Sammy Smith. Stay tuned for the post-race show. You'll get to listen to any post-race interviews from these NASCAR Xfinity Series drivers. Margin of victory, 0.6 of a second. Average race speed of 81.57 miles per hour. 2 hours, 26 minutes, and 10 seconds total time on today's 200-lap, 200-mile Xfinity race. Most laps led was race winner Sammy Smith with 92 laps led today, almost half the race. Justin Allgaier won the first 2 stages. 8 different drivers led today. 8 different leaders for 17 lead changes as this race ended in its regulation of the 200 laps I just mentioned.
You get the feeling? It's the first of many.
Absolutely.
Welcome to the club, Sammy Smith. You're a winner in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Let's hear from him, Josh.
And Sammy Smith, now the youngest Xfinity Series winner here at Phoenix. A dominant victory as he celebrates with the team, a kid that's still in high school and gets it done. Sammy, you thought about this moment, I'm sure, a number of times. What does it mean to be in victory lane now in the Xfinity Series?
Yeah, it's amazing. It's a dream come true. Just thanks to Pilot Flying J, PMC, Allstate Peterbilt Group, Render Group, Toyota, all the guys on the JGR team for giving me this opportunity. It's awesome.
Thanks and congratulations.
That was quick.
What a day.
Very quick
Sammy
interview.
Smith. You know, Kyle's won a lot of races. Kyle Busch has won a lot of races driving for Joe Gibbs Racing. Eventful ride, final lap.
Surprised they didn't ask him a follow-up
You
question.
know, these guys are racing hard, really since the last restart. Crossing each other up. You see Kyle go back down to the bottom. I think this is where it's going to get interesting.
Look at that. Pedal, pedal, pedal.
Oh, my goodness.
It's Chandler Smith in the 16. Who, oh, by the way, finished 5th and has now got his 3rd consecutive top 5 finish, another rookie. How about Ryan Truex, Regan?
Well, I mean, that Ryan Truex mentioned his career best finish. You had to battle through that one today. At one point, you guys were up front. Then the next thing you look up, you guys are kind of in the middle of the pack at the end of the race. So you got to go when it counted.
Yeah, I thought we were good at the start. Man, I think the track just changed a lot more than I expected it to. That long run, we were really bad. I was just hanging on. But Jason and these guys let me complain on the radio and made the right adjustment. So that was a good restart at the end. I'm glad I could at least try to make it exciting. Congrats to Sammy. He was just, I think, class in the field all day. His car just looked so good. Can really kind of do whatever he wanted. But just thankful to be here. Thanks to Toyota Genuine Parts. It was as fast as Xfinity 10G, but I think Sammy's is just a little bit faster. So try again next time.
Thanks, Ryan.
Regan, we say in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, names are made here. And a superstar was born today. Yeah, it's impressive that Sammy Smith won, led nearly 100 laps. But let's go back to all the restarts because of so many cautions. And he's holding off Kyle Busch. He saw everything, had it all thrown at him, delivers each and every time, Kevin.
Well, I love the fact that he learned on the fly right there. He did a pretty good job getting going, and I think as you go through everything that he's done in the past with the ARCA races and leading those races and all the positions that he's been in over the last couple weeks with being up in the front of the pack, he's obviously learned a lot and put himself in position to win. And today he just closed the deal, and he did it under a lot of pressure.
Absolutely. A lot of natural talent. We've seen that. But also his ability to learn. That's what I saw today, is that he's able to kind of see things happen, make a mistake every now and again. That's okay. That's how you learn. And he's able to apply it quickly. He doesn't have to get out of the car and have someone teach him what he did wrong. I think he figures it out really, really quick, applies it, and wins the race.
How about this rookie class? You got Sammy Smith who wins, and I mentioned it, Chandler Smith, 3 consecutive top 5 finishes. We're going to be saying the name Smith a whole lot in 2023 because both these young drivers have delivered. Guys, good luck to you tomorrow, sharing row 8 when we go green here at Phoenix.
Well, it looks like it's the end of the Xfinity race coverage on FS1. Of course, they've gone well past their airing time, knowing that we had 11 cautions in today's race. Whoop, didn't mean to log out of that. Gonna have to wait a second. Refresh. Gotta get our leaderboard back up here so I can give you guys the rest of the results. So we'll just scroll down the screen here because I know this is accurate at least. So Sammy Smith ends up with the race win today. Ryan Truex, as you heard from moments ago, ends up finishing a close second. 0.6 of a second was the margin of victory. Sheldon Creed ends up finishing third. Riley Herbst fourth. And Chandler Smith rounds out the top 5. John Hunter Nemechek at 6th. Austin Hill 7th. Josh Berry 8th. Kyle Busch 9th. Daniel Hemrick rounds out the top 10. Again, as you kind of heard, Chandler Smith and Kyle Busch ended up getting into each other on the final lap of turns 1 and 2. Both cars ended up in the outside wall as a result, and that's why they finished 5th and 9th despite battling for 3rd there. Daniel Hemrick again rounds out the top 10 and 10th. Sam Mayer ended up finishing 11th. Cole Custer qualified on the pole, didn't show as much speed after losing the lead, led the first 38 laps. He finishes 12th. Brad Moffitt ended up 13th. Anthony Alfredo 14th. Parker Kligerman 15th. Ryan Sieg 16th. Kyle Weatherman 17th. Parker Retzlaff 18th. Ryan Ellis 19th. And Jeremy Clements in 20th. Josh Williams 21st. Jeb Burton 22nd. Brandon Jones 23rd. Connor Mosack 24th. Kyle Sieg 25th. Joey Gase 26th. Leland Honeyman in 27th. Bailey Curry 28th. Brendan Poole 29th. And Patrick Emmerling 30th. Joe Graff Jr. 31st. Garrett Smithley 32nd. Jeffrey Earnhardt 33rd. Kaz Gralla in 34th. Blaine Perkins 35th. Justin Allgaier crashed out of the race late, finishes 36th. Greg Galding 37th, and Dawson Cram ended up 38th. Just 3 cars DNF'd in today's race. So tough break for Allgaier. He won the first 2 stages, so got quite a bit of stage points at least to salvage a little bit of that poor finish, but obviously it hurts to, especially considering the fact that he had a pretty strong race car, was in the top 5 through most of the day when he was on the same strategy as the rest of the field. Appreciate everybody tuning in, though. We had about 200 people watching at one point in time. Hit the like button if you haven't done so already on the stream. And then also subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. We will have a live commentary stream for tomorrow's NASCAR Cup race that will start at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then for the Xfinity and Truck Series next Saturday, I'll check the schedule real quick, because they will be having a doubleheader on Saturday next week. Got to switch here. I'll go to the truck race first because I know that's earlier. So Truck Series race next week at Atlanta will start at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. A little earlier now that they're back out east. And then at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Xfinity race. So back-to-back live streams on Saturday next week. And then the Cup Series race will be 400 miles rather than 500 for next week's race at Atlanta. So again, tomorrow for the Cup Series at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then at Atlanta the following week at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time we'll go live. So appreciate everybody tuning in. 119 likes, and I will see you guys tomorrow for our pre-race coverage at 3 before the start of the Cup race, and then obviously the Cup commentary to follow on that said stream. Have a good rest of your Saturday night, everybody.